to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 8. My name is John Morgan, coming to you this week live from Las Vegas. And you know what that means if we're in Las Vegas. We are sitting out on the patio, Buffalo Wild Wings, Warm Springs in Durango, ice-cold beverage in hand. And this time, I've got some company with me. I've got young Mike Bohn, all the way from Canada. I got to say, dressed a little bit formally for a patio podcast. You've got the you did take the tie off. I'm going to give you some credit there. You did take the tie off, so that makes me feel a little bit better. But I mean, I'm sitting here in shorts and flip flops, and you got a jacket on, collared shirt, looking all respectable.
Well, we had to come to media day today, so I came straight from the Conor McGregor workout right after UFC 187 Ultimate Media Day, so had to look presentable. But yes, I got rid of the tie. It was a little too much, choking me after 8 hours of wearing that. I think I had about enough.
We will definitely get to the Conor McGregor Media Day because that was something to behold. I should also say that Justin Park is over here sitting next to us. He's off mic, just kind of hanging out over there, doing what video processing people do. That is just buried in a mountain of video editing, I guess. So he'll be quiet over there, but he'll be sipping his adult beverages as well and enjoying the cool breeze. Mike's been complaining a little bit that it's cold, which I'm a little shocked. The guy from Canada is saying that it's a little too cold for his taste here in Las Vegas this week.
Yeah, I need the sun. I mean, I've been down on the road for a couple weeks now, and had 3 days of sun in California, and then had some overcast weather. I was expecting a little more, but I'll survive. It's not too bad.
Well, let's talk about before we talk about Las Vegas. I do want to go back real quick to last week. Obviously, I'm getting home from Manila, the Philippines. You watched it on TV. Kind of a tough challenge, I guess, for North American audience. I think it was your buddy Mark Raimondi who tweeted that you fell asleep during the first prelim.
I did. I dozed off a little bit.
Bright and early. So what was that experience like for you guys? I mean, was it just a little bit too early? Did you enjoy the morning? I kind of like the daytime cards, but maybe that was a little too early.
Yeah, I mean, my excuse for that also is I went to Bellator the night before, Bellator 137 out there in Temecula, so I didn't get into bed home from the event till about 2:33. Had to be up at 4 for the first prelim, so didn't have much sleep, and I was a little bit tired. And I live on the East Coast in Toronto, so it would have been 7 a.m. the first fight, which is a lot more manageable. I wake up all the time for ONE FC cards at that hour. It's not, or ONE Championship, I guess it is now. So that's a little more palatable, but yeah, 4 a.m. for the first fight is a little too early.
I didn't realize it was that early. That's pretty early.
Yeah, especially, and then the card opens with a very slow-paced fight that ends with a very questionable decision. So
right.
It's a little tough to take that, but once the first knockout came, it reinvigorates you and you get into the card.
I was going to say, it did pick up quickly. John De Los Reyes, of course, got the fight of the night. I think that was the second fight of the night, right? Second or third?
Yeah, because it was a rare fight past prelim that got a fight of the night honors, which you don't see too often.
That's right. And we had mentioned on last week's episode going into it, but John De Los Reyes, who until Monday of this week worked 15 feet in that direction. He was a cook right here at Buffalo Wild Wings at Warm Springs in Durango, but got the $50,000 check. And I was told as soon as I got back from the Philippines, I came in here to have beer this week, that he made it back in on Monday, came into his bosses and said very respectfully, they've known what he's trying to do, that he's trying to make the UFC, and said, hey, guys, thanks for everything, but I'm out, and I'm going to try training full-time.
Yeah, that's a great story. It's nice when you can hear those. And the guys, I mean, you think it's unfortunate when you hear these guys fighting at the highest level, the UFC, who have to work second jobs and don't get to train full-time. But it's a nice story that he gets that bonus, and it's going to be very interesting to see his next fight now when he's, got this money and can train 100%, be completely dedicated, not have, working in the kitchen in the back of his mind. So I think it's a great story when you hear those kind of things.
I guess that shows you confidence that he's not taking anything, because remember, they don't get that money until they pass their drug test. But
true.
I guess if he came in and went and quit already, then I guess you got to feel that he feels pretty good that he's not going to have any problems.
Yeah, this is true. I didn't think of that, but hopefully he didn't quit prematurely.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, just briefly, the experience in the Philippines, obviously the UFC's first time there. I don't know if it came across on TV or not. Obviously, sometimes it's a little bit different. The crowd there was great, man. I felt like they were really knowledgeable. They cheered at the right times. I think I remember a little bit of booing. I mean, there were a couple decisions that were a little stale at times.
Yeah, well, there's a couple bad decisions too. I think there was 3 split decisions on that card where one guy got it right and then the other 2 I think got it wrong. The Felipe Novair fight was very, very bad decision, and yeah, so I think maybe they were more booing that kind of thing. But yeah, they were cheering for the ground game. They are very knowledgeable fans, and that's what you hear most times when you talk about the Philippines and Manila. If you talk to people over at One Championship,
Right.
and you ask them why Ben Askren always fights there, they say it's pretty much the most Western market, right?
Wow.
So they have like having Ben Askren there because they don't care if it's an Asian guy. So that's mainly why we'll probably see every time Ben Askren fights for One Championship, he'll probably be in Manila.
Really, that's interesting. I'm not aware of that. That makes a lot of sense. It was very Westernized. Everybody speaks English there.
Yep.
Not necessarily the best, but more than I spoke their native language.
Yeah,
sure.
they'll appreciate maybe a main event with an American ant more so than maybe some other markets over there.
I get it. And obviously the big story there, certainly Frank Yeager's fantastic performance was incredible. Mark Munoz, the hometown guy, going out in style was big. So a lot of things. I don't want to recap the entire card, but the one thing that I really took out of it that I thought was cool outside of that was the fact that Demetrius Johnson, who was a guest fighter there, they showed him on the video screen the way they do at live events. Hey, here's the guy that's here, and the crowd went nuts. I mean, literally, I think the loudest cheer I've ever heard from him, like even when he's fighting.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool, and it kind of made sense to me. Obviously Manny Pacquiao is a guy that came up at, I think he started boxing like 108 pounds or something like that. I mean, I think they're used to smaller athletes and smaller people, and maybe they don't have that kind of bias that it seems like we have in North America where we only want to watch a heavyweight.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you said that, and it made me think, we were talking to John Dodson. We had him in MMAjunkie Radio Studios earlier this week, and he was saying that he's half Filipino.
Yep.
So it would be very interesting if they set that fight up over there. I don't know if they'd be willing to do a title fight in that market just with the time difference, and they obviously couldn't do a pay-per-view and those kind of things, but God, if you're ever wanting to put Demetrius Johnson on free TV, probably assuming if it's an FS1 card or something, God, that might be the fight to do it. But
that was great. I had no idea that he was half Filipino.
Yeah, me neither. And he was saying, we were talking to him a little bit about it. He would have liked to be on that card if possible, but I'm sure they'll be back there, so there'll probably be another opportunity for him.
Yeah, so I think that would be cool. John Dodson, Demetrius Johnson. Now, obviously, John Dodson don't
want
to look past Koski.
Yeah,
he's got
absolutely
a big fight. But if he does win, I mean, he's got the inside track. I mean, Joseph Benavidez obviously has a big fight this weekend as well. But I think at 125 pounds, Dodson has the inside track.
Yeah, that's the fight to make at this point if he wins and wins impressively. That's Demetrius Johnson. It's so funny. He just I don't know what it is with John Dodson. He just always likes to brush it off his shoulder. I was watching the Q&A that you're referencing, and they bring it up. If he wins, he's like, yeah, he wins, but it could also be Joseph Benavidez or this guy. Or it could be Henry Cejudo. It could be this guy. Like, he just lists off all the flyweights and just.
You think he's in his head a little bit, or you think like he doesn't want that fight, or?
I think they just genuinely don't like each other,
right.
And he just doesn't want to show him any sort of recognition whatsoever. Which
it's funny. I hadn't thought about it, but you're right. Every time somebody brings his name, he's like, well, yeah, it could be, but there's also he picked out McCoskey like 4 fights ago.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Guy.
Yeah, it's crazy. They have something going on. Dodson was telling us off camera during the junkie thing when after the fight, he went up to him when he fought DJ the first time, and he tried to say thank you for the fight. It was a great fight, and DJ was just like, yeah, I won that. And just kind of walked away from him. That was it. Didn't show him any appreciation for the great fight, which was easily DJ's best, most competitive fight at flyweight. So some people even thought he lost that. So it's that's the rematch to make. Hopefully Dodson can get a big win if he's able to pull it off, and that's a sellable fight at flyweight, which the UFC really needs at this point.
Yeah. Well, that is a part of UFC 187. Let's transition this week. The reason that you're here in Las Vegas, the reason Justin's here as well. UFC 187, Johnson versus Cormier. You and I were talking earlier today. I know you've been out to Vegas a couple times. You've been out for some big fights. I obviously live here. It's weird because this is a huge card. I mean, in terms of depth and quality, this might be on paper the best card the UFC has put together, and at least this year. And I mean, really, in quite some time. It's an incredible card. And it's still Thursday. I mean, tomorrow maybe things will change, but it does kind of seem to be lacking that big fight feel as far as the town, and I don't know why that is.
Yeah, me neither, and I'm sure you've obviously been to far more events here than I have, but yeah, even just walking around the hotels, you don't see tons of fans wearing tap out shirts or affliction shirts, whatever. You just don't really see these guys that you're like, okay, that person is definitely in town to see the fights.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what the turnout is on Saturday night. I'm sure, as usual, they're going to get a crowd in there, whether they do comps and hotels giving tickets to high rollers and those things. So I'm sure they'll have a good crowd, but yeah, it does lack a little bit of that zest that you would think this card has. That's just ridiculous top to bottom. Like I was saying the other day, we have 12 fighters on this card that are ranked in the top 15 of our USA Today Sports MMAjunkie rankings, which I can't recall anything even close to that.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, really, there's a lot of interesting fights. I mean, when you look at the card as a whole, I mean, you got a fight on the prelims like Josh Berkman, Dong Young Kim, who haven't even been in a part of any of the media activities this week because the card's too damn loaded. There's no place for them. Uriah Hall, Rafael Natal should be a fun fight. I'm probably the only weirdo that's looking forward to Colby Covington versus Mike Pyle. I think that's a great fight, and that's on Fight Pass. And Sampo versus Scoggins is on the prelims on the Fight Pass.
Yeah, there's just great fights top to bottom. Scoggins, one of the biggest prospects in flyweight in the world, and I know he's obviously dropped his past 2 fights, but he's a guy, the fact that he's curtain jerking on the card is kind of ridiculous. And, you got Rose Namajunas down there fighting on the prelims. It's just stacked top to bottom. So many good fights. There's not one fight you can look at on this card and be like, there's not something interesting there. You're compelled one way or another by it.
This is a card that I think, like a casual fan, like even like you don't have to be a hardcore. I think this is one that a casual fan should buy. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's even crazier because it would have been better if there was no injuries. If the whole John Jones thing didn't happen, if Khabib Nurmagomedov didn't get injured, it would be an even bigger card, which is crazy to think about considering how amazing it is as it stands.
It's funny because, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the main event, of course, is Anthony Johnson versus Daniel Cormier. Should have been Anthony Johnson versus John Jones. I just wonder, I mean, Khabib Nurmagomedov falling off sucks, but I think that was a hardcore thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there were many ticket buyers that are bumped. Do you think it would feel bigger and there'd be more people here if it was John Jones, Anthony Johnson?
It's tough to say. I think it's some of the reason that there's not as much enthusiasm. People are this whole debate is it the fake belt? This person isn't going to be the real champion. But as a fight, this is like one of the best fights you can make at light heavyweight, period. I can suspend my disbelief and put that stuff to the side, the whole title thing, enough to just appreciate this fight as an amazing fight between 2 of the best guys in MMA, period. Johnson and Cormier are just ridiculously talented guys, and I can appreciate that part of it. I'm looking forward to the fight. Maybe I'm not looking forward to after the fight, the whole fallout, what people are going to say about, this guy's the real champion, especially if Cormier wins. It's going to be a whole ridiculous thing. He just lost to Jones. It makes it a little tougher than if Johnson were to win. But yeah, I can push that to the side and just focus on the fight until it happens, and then we'll worry about all the belt stuff afterwards. But as a fight, this is everything you could ask for from an MMA fan. It's amazing.
I completely agree, and we've been talking about it on MMAjunkie Radio all week, and I think you're absolutely right. If Anthony Johnson wins, I think there'll be less criticism than if Daniel Cormier wins. I think it's inevitable that there'll be criticism to say, like, come on, dude, you're not holding the real belt.
Yeah, but it's interesting to – back to your original question, would it be bigger if John Jones was on the card? It's tough to say. Like, if none of that stuff had happened, it was a big fight, but what if, it wasn't as bad of a situation, he ended up fighting anyways? Maybe if it was just the woman he allegedly hit didn't have the injuries and it was just a misdemeanor, would they have kept him on the card still? And if they did, it would have been a crazy storyline, an absolute media circus, people trying to talk to John Jones. He probably wouldn't have done much media or whatever, but it would have been, it would have been...
He's busy, he's tied up. We
it would have been something
be
else, yeah. So I think a lot of people would be compelled. Is this going to distract him? Is his mind really in the fight, all this stuff? So I think it would have been pretty compelling, but yeah, I think it's a great card as it is, and we kind of just got to accept it. But John Jones, obviously one of the bigger draws in the UFC. People really wanted to see that fight between him and Anthony Johnson. They were really excited for it, and they probably thought Anthony Johnson was one of his toughest challenges, period, that he's had. So it's a little unfortunate that John Jones is out and he's got that whole thing going on. But yeah, it's still a great card. You can't hit on this card.
Can you imagine if they'd have kept him on the card anyway? Just been like, yeah, we know he hit the lady and she has a broken arm and he ran and he went back and got cash, but guys, we got a fight to promote.
Yeah, it would have been unbelievable. I think they made the right decision doing what they did. But yeah, that would have been a whole other thing. Other thing. We would have had many, many stories to write about that.
I think they made the right call.
Yeah, me too.
So Fight Week officially kicked off on Wednesday of this week with the open workouts that they've done it a couple times where they've actually set it up inside the MGM a hotel right there outside the sports book. I think Tap Sports Bar or something is right next to it. Kind of a public spectacle. Had you attended one that had been set up that way before?
No, never. That was cool. It was cool to see. I like when they kind of change it up with the workouts and do something a little different. You can get the public involved. It was better for the fans today, on Wednesday, being able to go to that rather than the media day that the fans were invited to today, which I kind of confused why someone would want to show up to that. They're standing there. I'm sure they're all hoping that one of the fighters is going to get off their chair and come talk to them, but just at this point, they're so far into their weight cut. They're, their immune systems are probably pretty weak. I don't think you want to be shaking hands, having these people breathe on
Right.
you and stuff when you're probably very prone to sickness and those things. So I can understand, if you're in Vegas, maybe why not go for a bit? But yeah, kind of an unfortunate thing for the fans to go to because they don't really get anything, and then they're on the opposite side of the room when they're doing the stare downs and they can't really see anything. So yeah, but either way, I remember what it's like to be a fan when you're kind of just going to these events. You want any chance you get to possibly meet some of the fighters, you try to go to that. So I can understand it, but yeah, a bit of a bummer because I didn't see any fighters going over there and talk to them, as opposed to open workouts on Wednesday where Chris Weidman was there hugging babies, kissing babies, getting USA chants. It was just, what a scene that was. It was great.
Oh, it was pretty fantastic. The highlight to me, other than that, probably, I think that was pretty fun to watch. And of course, he ends up giving some birthday cake to Ray Longo as well. But excuse me, I think the highlight to me was Cowboy Cerrone just showing up unannounced. He's not scheduled to take part in it, and he just says, "Hell with it. I'm going to the open workouts. I'm going to put on a show for the fans, and then I'm going to come over there." And I'm going to throw down for the media as well, and he did what Cowboy does. He delivered the goods. And I know you were having a little trouble hearing because it was tough. Those media scrums, there was a lot of cameras, and it was tough for you to get there.
People.
But I just thought that was awesome. And to me, I don't know. I think that's a cool example for other fighters to learn from. That hey, listen, even if you're not scheduled to be at something, it might do you some good to show up. Now, you can't just show up and not do anything, but if you've got something to offer, show up anyway. Tell the PR that you're going to be there early. You're not trying to screw up their schedule. You're going to be there early, and get yourself some headlines.
Yeah, definitely. And it only works for a select number of guys. If you're whether it was 100% Cowboy's idea or maybe he just wanted to go get a workout in, and his PR guy was like, be a good idea to go down there, and he gave him a little boost of encouragement. Brilliant idea, but only so many guys can do that. If half on the tall is showing up, I don't think it would resonate the same way.
I'm gonna tell him you said that. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
All right. Fine with that, but it's kind of only select guys, but yeah, that's what makes Cowboy. He's just always willing to do things for the fans. He's one of the guys that genuinely enjoys doing that kind of thing. So it was a great move by him, and just a bonus for the fans who were there to see that. And he was over there taking pictures, signing autographs, doing all those things. So he's a great guy, and he does it right.
That's awesome. The four people that were scheduled to attend and did attend were, of course, the four men involved in the two title fights: Daniel Cormier versus Anthony Johnson, Chris Weidman versus Vitor Belfort, of course, the vacant light heavyweight title in the main event, and Chris Weidman's middleweight title on the line in the co-main. Everybody put in a pretty decent workout. Sometimes people go through the motions. I think when there's fans, I think they feel a little bit more obligated to do something when it was just us media people around. So I think everybody kind of put on a decent workout. I don't know that there was anything that was super telling or super whatever, but I don't know. What did you take out? Was there anything that surprised you? Anything that you noticed that you liked? Just anything that stood out to you?
Anthony Johnson's absolutely terrifying. That was my biggest takeaway. I mean, I think the two biggest, just for people in general, were waiting to see what Vitor Belfort looked like. I think that's what everyone was really anticipating to see. Obviously, we haven't seen him in over a year and a half now, so people were curious to see what he looked like, what's his definition, and all these things, since the whole TRT thing has come about. Or gone away, I guess I should say. So I think those were the main two takeaways, seeing what he looked like. And then Anthony Johnson, God, that guy is just absolutely terrifying. And Chris Weidman, looks great as usual. But besides that, it's kind of more for the show. But you can see Anthony Johnson compared to the other guys. When he's hitting pads, you're like, wow, this guy, he's just scary fighter right now.
It's funny because I had no idea you were going to say that, but we'll air an interview in a little bit. I talked to Luke Rockhold earlier today, and at the end of the interview, I said, obviously I know you're pulling for your guy DC. You think he's going to win and all that. I'm like, but real talk, man to man, Anthony Johnson's a scary dude, right? He was like, nah, man, he is kind of scary.
Yeah, I think everyone says that. I mean, you talk to some people in DC's entourage as being around them this week, and they know they're like, they're not. They obviously, of course, think Cormier is going to win and are very confident in him. But, they'll tell you straight up, this is absolutely not an easy fight for Daniel Cormier. Anthony Johnson's just so scary right now. He's looked so good since coming into the UFC. That performance, which, I mean, you and I were both sitting cage side for in Sweden against Alexander Gustafsson, that was just absolutely incredible what he did to him. And this fight is just so compelling in so many ways. It's crazy when you look at him and DC and the fact that they're both 205ers, just how two people who are the same weight class can just have completely different frames,
Right.
just completely different builds. And, yeah, that fight is just so compelling on so many levels.
You're right. I mean, physically, Anthony Johnson is a beast. And the other thing, too, is, and I think you saw it in Sweden, and I think we're seeing it again, is just the confidence and how calm he is. And, I mean, he says in the scrum that we talked to him, at the open workouts, he's like, this is just another fight. It's just another day. It's just another guy.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like he believes it. I mean, sometimes you can tell people, like, you can tell they're trying to, like, get their mind right. You're like, dude, you're just telling yourself that. I really think he's like on cruise control. He just shows up and knocks out whoever's in his way.
Yeah, he's been obviously looking brilliant lately since he got cut from the UFC the first time. Hasn't lost since then, and with every fight, just gaining more and more in confidence. And he obviously has the right training partners around him, the right camp, good coaches, and just everything seems to be going for him perfectly right now. And he's just coming into this fight with extraordinary amount of momentum, as opposed to Cormier, who's it's kind of a very desperate situation for him. If he loses this, he's in a very, very bad position. Obviously, I don't want to make assumptions about his career, but if he loses this fight, where does he go from there? It's a really, really tough spot for him. So I think Cormier is, he's saying I'm so much more relaxed. I don't have this animosity with John Jones that kind of overtook me before the fight when I fought him. It was so much emotion, and now I can just put that to the side and just focus on fighting, focus on what I need to do in the fight. But he knows, he's fully aware that this is his last chance. He was, even going into that first fight, he kind of like, I have to win this fight absolutely, or it could be, could be over for me in a way, in terms of being a major title contender. But he got this. Fortunately, with the whole John Jones thing, he got this opportunity, and he absolutely needs to make the most of it. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Cormier going forward, win or lose. He's in this very, very interesting position. It's going to be, very, very interesting to see what happens, win or lose, for him in this fight.
The other key point you mentioned was people wanting to see Vitor. Now, we should say that at the open workouts, Vitor had a shirt on the whole time.
Yep.
So we didn't necessarily get to see his full frame. But listen, I was, Cold Coffee and I went to go see him. A while back in Florida.
Right.
And I just don't know how you can get around it. He looks smaller. I think he looks smaller than he did before.
He looks like he could fight at welterweight at this point, which is kind of crazy. And you see Weidman, even during the stare-downs today at the media day, we saw they look like they're in different weight classes right now. Vitor, obviously, I feel like he could fight a heavyweight right now. He could go up and pretty much fight anyone at this point, and he's got that threat where he can knock anyone out. And Vitor Belfort is Vitor Belfort. TRT, no TRT, 38 years old, 21 years old. That guy can knock anyone out in the first 2 minutes of a fight. He's extremely capable, extremely dangerous. So I think even if he was on TRT or whatever, his strategy would kind of be the same. He needs to get Weidman early.
Yeah.
He needs to attack him early. Vitor Belfort, even in his prime, has never been a guy that's going to, outpoint you over 5 rounds or over 3 rounds.
Overwhelms you.
He's that guy who, if he hurts you once, he's got some of the best killer instinct of all time. He's got the most finishes in UFC history, the most first-round knockouts in UFC history. So, and I don't think that part of it has changed. He can still do that to anyone. But he's looked different, and as you mentioned, he had his shirt on at the open workouts. But I think somewhere on social media, one of those photos from the UFC photo shoots came out with him with his shirt on that they do backstage for all their promotional material. And he definitely does look smaller. It's not the same. And
I don't think that's unfair to say. I mean, he's a guy that was on testosterone replacement therapy. It's not like
legal.
it's hidden.
He wasn't doing anything wrong.
That's the biggest thing.
What you can't. The UFC allowed this stuff, and he played within the rules at the time. You can't hate on the guy for that, but it's just now it's a different situation. It's a different world at this point, and he has to deal with it. And it's kind of unfortunate for him that he it just happened so quickly. But it's I don't think anyone's feeling too bad for him in the sense that TRT is banned now. I think everyone had very similar feelings about that stuff, that it shouldn't have been around. So it just kind of is what it is.
It was an era. It was a time.
Yeah, you can't really. There's not too much more to say about it.
Yeah.
It was what it was then, and now it's a different situation. He's had to deal with it. Fortunately for him, it's not like if this fight took place, right after it was banned, it might have been a different situation. But he's had a lot of time to adjust, a lot of time to figure his situation out, and we'll see on Saturday. It's a pretty interesting fight. You know, everyone's picking Weidman. I am too, but by no means, you know, Vitor Belfort, like I just said, he can knock out anyone, and I would not be shocked if he won the fight.
Yeah, if he does it early, you know, I mean the odds are pretty strong in Weidman's favor, but I don't know, I've admitted it all week long, and as Mike Bohn luckily pointed out to me, I'm also picking Chris Weidman. However, in my official picks, I accidentally typed Vitor Belfort, and I'm telling you, I think it might have just been some subconscious thing. Like, there's this weird part of me that's kind of pulling for him. I don't know. I mean, we've had this, you know, him and I have had that weird year in 2013.
Yes.
And
So you guys have a history.
Yeah, we have a little history, and obviously I think it's something about to do with the whole nostalgia of, you know, Vitor's one of the guys that's been around forever. I mean, it's incredible to think, you know, he's got 19 years in the sport. I mean, that's amazing.
Wow.
You know, he was fighting when I was a teenager, so
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you know.
It's the longest. I mean, obviously he had that very long stint where he wasn't in the UFC, but in terms of just guys who have made their UFC debut and are still fighting in the UFC, he's the longest tenured guy by
amazing.
far.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Dan Henderson is too. He's made his debut at UFC 17. I think Vitor was UFC 13, but still incredible.
So that is incredible. Today, we're recording this on Thursday. Obviously, the first thing we did this morning was Media Day. Again, 12 fighters were available during Media Day, which just shows you the absolute depth of this card. Everybody on the main card was there. And then, of course, John Dotson and Zach McCoskey, who are the featured preliminary bout. They were there as well. Incredible. Showing the growth of MMAjunkie. It was fantastic. We had a team there. Justin is walking around shooting video. You're doing interviews, and mainly – just to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit, you know, at Media Day, we've kind of taken a different approach. I mean, by the time it's Thursday and we're doing media interviews, it's like there's no time to turn the interviews around, to write news stories. Most of the stories have already been told. So, you know, we kind of take a different approach with it. That's when we put together what we call our mashup questions, our topical questions, you know, things like what do you think about the Reebok deal was one recently. You know, what do you think about the NSAC's new policies? Basically just getting, you know, while we've got this collection of fighters, you know, getting everybody's thoughts on a hot topic and just putting that all together so that, you know, fans can see, hey, what are fighters feeling about this? What do we do? So that's kind of what we've done. But you were doing that. Matt Erickson was here. He was shooting still photos. And I was literally just walking around with like nothing to do. I'm like, this is fantastic, man.
Well, you deserve a few media days like that. You've worked hard enough on all those. It's I'm more than happy to take some of that work off your hands. I obviously don't get as many chances to come to big shows like this. You know, I was just in Montreal for 186 last month,
show.
but massive, biggest show of the year, right? But you know, so I don't get the chance to talk to these big stars very often. So obviously, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do that, and I'm more than willing to, you know, take a little time off your hands. So
I appreciate that.
Enjoy it.
All 6 fights that were there came together for stare downs today. Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, obviously, some guys were hugging.
Too many guys were hugging. Every fight except for Vitor Belfort and Chris Weidman hugged. Every single fight.
Vitor looked pretty intense, but he also looked really small next to Chris Weidman. Anthony Johnson and Daniel Cormier weren't really super intense. They were just kind of cordial and polite. I mean, they weren't like buddies and hugging, but they were. I mean, neither one of those guys has animosity towards each other. This is a professional contest, and I'm not saying they should have animosity towards each other. I mean, it doesn't have to be a grudge fight, but obviously there's a size difference with them too. And then you think that Anthony Johnson fought at 170, which is just insane to even let your mind process that anymore.
It's absolutely crazy, especially when you look at these guys. I don't know how someone with just that bone structure and physique that he has.
He's not even a small light heavyweight.
He looks shredded, absolutely shredded. It's crazy. He has fought at heavyweight.
Yeah.
He could easily like put him next to even Andre Arlovsky like today, one of those guys. You're like, you know, they fought and still looks like they could be the same weight class. It's unbelievable.
Well, as you were walking around speaking to everybody on the card, you know, again, you weren't necessarily talking just about their fight. You were getting other information, but take anything out of the day? I mean, I think the one thing was you felt bad nobody was talking to John Moraga, right? That was like your biggest thing.
We went over there for a bit. John Moraga was the first person we talked to, and then, of course, after we finished our questions, we walked across the room, started talking to the other people, and obviously peeked over my shoulder, and he looked very lonely over there. But as time happened, there was a few more people who came around, and it was fine. He seemed to get more questions. But, yeah, in terms of takeaways, I did talk to John McDessie a little bit about the fight. He, just because Canadian, I wanted to show him a little more love, you know. And, of course, you know, I just saw him a few weeks ago in Montreal and asked him a few questions about the fight. I'll be honest, obviously I don't know what's going on inside these people's heads and everything, but he seemed a little nervous to me maybe, which is understandable. It's the biggest fight of his career by far. He hasn't had a full camp to train. But yeah, he came across a little nervous to me, which, again, totally understandable, but we'll see what happens with him and Cowboy. Pretty interesting fight. Obviously, two guys who like to stand and trade. McDessie wouldn't, he's capable. He's capable in that fight. Everyone's obviously picking Cerrone. He is a huge favorite, but McDessie, he's a dangerous fighter on the feet, and Cerrone, you never know. It's an interesting thing. You say, like, you question Cerrone, he's making this quick turnaround. Is he going to show up flat? But on this one, it's kind of the opposite. He hasn't had a 4-month layoff in I don't know how long.
Right.
It's been probably a couple of years now that he's had this long of a break between fights. So would it surprise me if Cerrone showed up and had one of those nights where, he's not looking completely like himself and a little off? No, and John McDessie could capitalize on that. But obviously I'm going with Cerrone. I picked him. But, yeah, that was one of my main takeaways. The rest of the guys, Anthony Johnson, again, seemed very, very confident. Chris Weidman, incredibly confident. That guy it's unbelievable, his self-belief and just everything that he has going for him. He's an unbelievable fighter and he's great.
He was a guest fighter in Brazil for, I believe it was 134. It was Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami, if I remember right. But he came down there and basically just told everybody that, listen, like, I'm going to knock out Anderson Silva, and then I'm going to knock him out a second. I'm going to beat him twice, because everybody knows. I mean, and it was one of those situations where, like, this dude isn't just trying to hype himself up. You're just you're like, this dude really believes it.
Yeah, you can tell sometimes when you talk to these guys. There's guys who just say it because they think it needs to be said, and there's guys who say it because they truly, truly believe it. And Chris Weidman, like you said, even dating back to 2 years ago, it's unfortunate that we don't get to see this guy fight more often. He's being hit by injuries. He's had his issues. Fortunately, he's still young and hasn't taken too much of his career, and he's the champion, and they're willing to, work around for him. But, yeah, he's just so confident, so talented, and if he wins this fight against Vitor, I'm very curious to see what he has going for him in the future. Middleweight is so absolutely incredibly deep.
It's fun right now.
It's so fun, and I can't wait for the title fights coming up in that division. Even if Vitor wins, who doesn't want to see Vitor and Luke Rockhold too?
That'd be great.
Luke Rockhold absolutely hates Vitor.
Hates him.
It makes his skin crawl. You can tell when you talk to him about Vitor. So either way, no matter what happens in middleweight, there's fun fights going on there. They just announced Machida and Yoel Romero, unbelievable fight. Just so much going on in that weight class that you can appreciate.
It's a lot of fun. I guess, the funny thing about it, so after Media Day was over, you guys had done all the interviews, they did the face-offs, and then we all kind of sat down to start processing video and start, getting things done because we had to hurry to the Conor McGregor Media Day, which we'll get to in just a moment. But next thing you know, we're looking up at our table, and there's Sarah, Longo, Weidman, the whole Weidman camp, which is kind of sitting at our table. And
his personal lady cutting up some zucchinis for him and stuff.
And I just, you know what, there was part of me, I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, here's a guy that's, a UFC champion, obviously, becoming quickly one of the biggest stars in the sport, he's cool to just chill and hang out and not feel bad.
He's just a cool dude. Like, you don't want to, obviously we don't try to befriend these fighters or anything like that, but you can tell you spend enough time around them. He's just a cool, down-to-earth, realistic guy.
There's no entourage whisking him away.
Yeah, has a nice family. Like, he's just a very down-to-earth, humble dude who is also very confident and not humble in a way when he needs to not be. But he's just everything I feel like the UFC wants, and he's still coming into his own. He has his moments in interviews where maybe he's not the perfect talker, can't get his point across maybe the way he wants to, but he's got so much going for him that in time, if he can hold on to the belt, like, he's saying he wants to retire undefeated, go down as one of the greatest of all time, 2-3 fights down the line, if he keeps working towards that, I'm very interested to see how this guy develops and just his personality, his character as, a UFC champion. And he's one of those guys that UFC should be very, very proud to, be pushed forward, and it's pretty clear at this point. He's very, anti-performance enhancing drugs, anti all the bad things about the sport, and very positive towards the good things that make the sport great.
Chris Weidman is the definition of the line between confidence and cocky.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's the perfect way to put it.
He is as confident as you can be without being cocky.
Yeah, and he's not one of those guys that says outlandish things. That's like, he's not. He just says, I want to go in there and dominate Vitor Belfort and like have the best performance and show all these middleweights who maybe haven't seen me fight in almost a year now, 10 months, remind them why I'm the best guy in this division,
Yeah,
why
you're
I'm
like,
the champion.
that's
But
reasonable.
he's not like, Conor McGregor. I'm gonna knock him out in 4 minutes for sure. Like, he doesn't have this, doesn't have that. He clearly respects Vitor Belfort, and I'm sure he knows he's not underestimating Vitor, which you can't, considering how dangerous the guy is.
Especially
but yeah,
early.
he's a very, very powerful dude. And Weidman, despite his undefeated record, he's shown a few flaws in his game. He gassed out at the end against Machida, and I don't know, his weight cut. I was watching the UFC in bed onto this, which I was shocked by. He said he doesn't check his weight ever until the 24 hours before the fight, which just shocked me considering the stuff we've heard about him. The Damian Maia fight, cutting over 30 pounds on 10 days notice. And I don't know, is that the best strategy? Clearly it's worked for him so far, but when you said that, I was like, are you kidding me, dude? Wow.
Well, let's talk about, you mentioned Conor McGregor's name.
Yeah.
I should say to everybody, Thursday, today that we're recording this, is your birthday. You're 24?
24, yes, sir.
24 years old. Happy birthday, Mike Bohn. Next year you'll be able to rent a car, so that's awesome. Yeah, 24 is like the most useless birthday ever, dude. It's just like,
it just feels like, I'm so close to 25, which just, I mean, I know, I'm sitting here with you guys. You're probably like, fuck you, you're 24. God. But yeah, no, it's just another birthday. It's great. I mean, I wouldn't be doing anything else. I'm so happy I'm sitting here with you guys. Got to, talk to these great fighters, do these great things. I wouldn't rather spend my birthday any other way.
You wouldn't have rather spent your birthday doing anything other than watching Conor McGregor stretch for an hour?
Well, maybe that part of it was a little okay, but once he got into his actual workout, which I'm sure you'll set up here for us in a minute, how it all went down. But yeah, it was still. I mean, I don't get to see these these workouts. I can appreciate it. I'd never been to the Tough Gym. All these things. It's I can appreciate what it was.
So you mentioned it. We went over to the Ultimate Fighter gym. I mean, this is the place where obviously all of the Ultimate Fighters take place. You've seen it on television 1,000 times. I guess before we get started, and it was a Conor McGregor workout. There were probably, I guess, 50 media members there between cameras and
pretty much everyone who's here here covering the fight went out to it. The UFC was obviously gracious enough to shuttle people over from the MGM, and yeah, it was a very cool experience.
So first time walking in the Tough Gym. What were your impressions? I mean. It's the lights weren't on, there wasn't much going on, but it is kind of cool. I mean, you see all the autographed jerseys, from everything. I mean, what was your take?
Well, I mean, even before you get inside, you're driving down the street, you see the classic parking lot where many a prank have happened over the years. Josh Koscheck trapping George St. Pierre's car, all those kind of things that are just, and then you see the big black doors with the UFC logo on it, training center. It's, it's a very familiar scene, and then you walk inside and it's cool. You have literally every jersey from every season hanging on the wall, even Tough China, autographed by all the cast, Kung Lee, everything. It's cool to see. And then obviously all the things hanging on the wall with the historic fighters, the champions, and it's really cool to see, especially, in the flesh, the octagon where countless tough fights have happened, especially me who, since I've come on board with MMAjunkie, I've done tough recaps for, I think it's going on 6 seasons now.
And I want to thank you for that, because that was my job for the longest time, and I'm like, Dan, now that Mike Bohn's on, maybe he could take those over.
Yeah,
not that I hate him, but after a while, it's like, I'd be happy to hand this over.
It gets tedious.
It does.
It's a very rinse and repeat format, the Ultimate Fighter. So when you're writing those recaps, it's just you kind of know what's going to happen when, all these kind of things. This season is whatever you want to say about it. I've had mixed thoughts on it. Yeah. There's been some high points, some low points. It is what it is. But yeah, it's cool to just. I've seen so many fights happen in this gym. Even before I came on board with Junkie, I've watched pretty much every season of the Ultimate Fighter, maybe except for a few here and there. But yeah, it's cool to actually go in there and you're like, wow, that's the door fucking Rampage kicked it through. It's the door Rampage destroyed. All these things you remember all these moments. It's that's the sauna they had to drag Gabe Rudiger out of. It's cool to see.
It is pretty cool. I missed the live season. I got to go to a couple of those fights when they were in town during the Tough Live season, and that was kind of fun to be in there during a fight. And because there was nothing to protect, they didn't have a problem. So if I was in town, they're like, dude, if you want to stop by, stop by. Obviously, when it's taped, they don't want to have a journalist sitting in there watching the fight. So pretty cool to be there. Then it was time for Conor McGregor, and I was talking to John Kavanaugh briefly while I was there. Obviously, Conor McGregor's coach, and I was like, man, like, what? I mean, look at this. I mean, nobody's ever done this. The UFC has never done this, to have a private open workout session with one fighter who's not even on the card to begin with. I mean, it's such a unique thing that they did. Obviously, starting the promotion. Well, I shouldn't say starting the promotion, continuing the promotion that they kicked off with the World Tour for the fight that happens on July 11th. And John Kavanaugh had a funny thing to say. He's like, the words that I hear the most in dealing with Conor McGregor is the UFC has never done this before. And it is true. I mean, they've gone out of their way, and rightfully so. The guy is a superstar. I mean, he's got the it factor. He's got all that. But it was a little weird at first. I mean, he shows up, and he's just doing a workout. I mean, he starts out, and he's doing a little bit of leg presses, and then he's doing I don't even know what you call that thing when he wrapped the blue band around his legs and around his body and was doing some stretches with that. I don't even know what you call that. And it was just weird to see, like, all the media, the cameras, the people, like, moving wherever he was.
Him around the whole gym, which is interesting because, they come in, they're like, we don't know what we're going to do. Everyone just kind of wait to set up all your cameras. We're going to give him the option if he wants to work on the mats or in the cage, and then the PR team comes and tell us, like, we don't know what he's going to do. He just said he's going to do a workout. And
he's going to flow.
He's going to flow, yes. He's going to flow like water type thing, so... Yeah, but it was interesting. Of course, the beginning part where he's just kind of stretching, you're like, all right. But I'm sure, people like Justin here, people from other sites that are shooting video that, can appreciate a workout. They need B-roll for videos, those kind of things. I'm sure that was great for them.
Yep.
So, it was cool to see him do his thing. And we've always known Conor McGregor isn't your traditional guy. He preaches movement and all these stretching things. And I think he knows from after his major knee injury that took him out of action for pretty much a year, he's pretty much said since then, the reason that happened is because he wasn't as focused on warm-up and all these things. And I think that's what a lot of fighters are starting to realize, that that's a big part of preparation.
Yep.
As much as no one wants to sit there and stretch for an hour because it's boring and it sucks.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's what you need to do, especially when you're these fighters who are you're beating the crap out of your body all the time with all these training sessions. Stretching is such an important part of it. No one wants to, I'm sure people listening to this workout and stuff, no one wants to go to the gym and stretch for 20 minutes and then go do their whole routine, but it's necessary because you're going to risk pulling something, you're going to feel stiff after. It's the right thing to do. It's what you need to do when you're going to put your body through that stuff.
Absolutely. And as we sit here talking, Justin is actually working on the highlights, so we'll have that up on the site soon. I'm sure by the time we get this podcast on the site, we'll have the workout highlights as well. We've already posted the video scrum as well. He spent about half an hour talking with all of us and answering our questions. And, nothing, I wouldn't say anything revolutionary or out of the norm, but he is one of the budding superstars in the sport. It certainly is going to be a huge fight. And he was very gracious with his time, spent about a half hour with us and answered all the questions.
Yeah, what do you think about him? You don't see, and he got asked about it, that tweet he put out the other day talking about, the equal rights vote that's coming up in Ireland, obviously for same-sex marriage going on there. And he was asked directly about it, I think, by Damon Martin of Fox Sports. You don't see many athletes on this type of stage with this type of audience before them come out and make such bold proclamations about such a topic that a lot of people have very, very strong feelings about.
I love it. When I saw his tweet come out, and I didn't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you knew what was going on. I had no idea Irish politics. I didn't know.
No, I didn't know that until, of course, he put it out, and then you read a bit about it.
But I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Listen, man, this is 2015, and if you got problems with what other people are doing, man, what is wrong with you? I just don't get it. And maybe it's because I'm fortunate enough that this job takes me around the world, and I've seen.
Exposed to many cultures.
Absolutely, and just realize what a frickin' small speck of dust we all are on this planet. So who in the hell are you to pass judgment on anybody else, whether it's, sexism, racism, nationalism, obviously with homosexuality, with sexual preference. Who the hell are you to put your agenda on somebody else? Man, we're all human beings. We're all on this planet together. And, I think it was great that you took a stand because you're right. I think a lot of athletes would just choose to stay away from it, just steer away from it.
Even if they felt the exact same way, everything you just described, not many people would have the courage to come out and say it. Even if they're the most openly political thing, they believe everyone deserves equal rights. They're not going to come out when, I don't know how many Twitter followers Conor McGregor has at this point, tons, has a huge audience for him. They're not going to come out and, put a tweet out like that and just put themselves, in the line of fire in terms of so many people who may feel feel differently. So it's really nice to see him use his platform in a positive way, which, Conor McGregor obviously has tons of haters, tons of people that don't like this guy and want to see him get knocked out by Jose Aldo, this and that. But he's if you hate on him for that, whatever. Like I can't appreciate anything. Yeah, I can't appreciate anything you say. He's doing positive things with what he has going for him right now, and I can appreciate the hell out of that.
I agree, and I think it's worth watching the video. And I'm actually going to play the audio at the end of this podcast. So if you don't have time to watch the video, I'm going to tag the audio at the end of this podcast so you can listen to all of it as well. I think it's worth listening to because, yes, he's cocky, he's brash, he is all those things, and that is who he is. It was even brought up in the scrum, do you feel like you're the new Chael Sonnen? And he's like, no, man, listen, I'm not Chael Sonnen. And I think there is a marked difference. I think Chael always knew it was a character that he was playing. I don't think that Conor believes he's playing a character. I do think the things he says he believes, but he also does play it up a little bit. But I think during most of the scrum today, he was humble might be a little strong, but not disrespectful, not over the top, not ridiculous, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was fun.
No, he was great. He gave thoughtful answers, honest answers that you can. It might not be one of these scrums where we are writing, we get headline after headline of Conor McGregor says this, says that, but he was giving his honest opinion just about his whole situation, about everything that's going on right now, about Jose Aldo, and even things like after the whole equality thing that you talked about, someone asked him like, "You hate Brazilians" or something like that, and he's like, "No, I don't hate any culture, any race, any this thing. Jose Aldo is just my next opponent, and I'm gonna take him out. I don't care where he's from." And he's I looked at him in a different light today. It was good. It was good to see him like that in that kind of format. I haven't really had a ton of chances to interact with Conor in person. I've seen him a couple times, interviewed him on the phone, I think, before his past 3 fights. But it's a completely different thing when you see these guys in person, especially in that setting. Even though it was a madhouse in that scrum, there was tons of people in there. But still, he was, even through the workout, he's talking to some people. It was like we weren't even there, the way he was acting. It was great to see. I really enjoyed that experience, minus the 30 minutes of stretching or whatever, the things that were just like, okay, I don't need to see this, but God, you watch him hit the bag, watch him in the cage, which my biggest takeaway from when he was in the octagon, hitting pads with his training, or with obviously striking coach, I believe he was, it seemed like he was very focused on defense.
Yeah.
He was getting a lot. His coach was coming at him, doing, obviously, he was wearing pads on his hands and everything, mostly doing slapping kind of strikes, but it seemed like he was very focused on defense, and movement, which obviously he's preached time after time after time. So he's just, I think a lot of people want to hate on Conor McGregor, but I think this guy he is who he is. I don't think he's fake. I don't think anyone should be questioning whether he's fake, anything like that. He's not getting lines fed to him or wrote for him like maybe a lot of us know about Chael Sonnen, but it's a different thing, which I can really respect. I definitely look at him a little differently after today.
I completely agree with you, man. That's great stuff. All right, well, let's get to that. Kind of gets everybody caught up to what we've been doing all week. Now we're just sitting here having a nice frosty beverage. The sun has gone down, and there's some basketball on television, some NBA playoffs, and we're just enjoying a cold beverage and talking some MMA out here at Buffalo Wild Wings at Warm Springs, Durango, out here in Las Vegas. So I'm going to get to the interview portion of what we did, some other things that I was doing while you guys were working your tail off. I had a chance to sit down and talk to the first interview I did was with Luke Rockhold, who, of course, is he's the number one contender at middleweight. The UFC hasn't come right out and said it, but there's just absolutely no way anybody else fights for the title right now, unless there's some kind of rematch or something like that.
Especially now with Jacare being out due to injury.
Right.
It sounds like he's going to get knee surgery of some kind coming up, so he's going to be out for a little bit, it seems like. So Luke Rockhold, I thought he was number one contender regardless, but after this, it's
no
undeniable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Maybe there was a chance that Jacare could slide in front of him, but I just didn't see it happening to begin with. And now, as you said, no question about it. So he is expecting to face the winner of Chris Weidman versus Vitor Belfort. Obviously, both fights are a little bit interesting for him. Chris Weidman, the undefeated champion, I think he'd love to fight him and be the first guy to beat him. And he talks about that a little bit, and he actually has some pretty cool things to say about how he thinks him and Chris Weidman are going to be fighting multiple times over their career, and that they're going to be around for a while.
I can see that. They're both. I mean, they're both kind of, as I was saying about Weidman earlier, just an honest, humble, or maybe Luke Rockhold maybe isn't as humble as Weidman. he's a little different. But that's what makes Luke Rockhold awesome. But they're both very cool dudes, very skilled, so skilled.
It's East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah,
man.
Totally. I could see those guys fighting a trilogy at some point. They're both young, both under 30, so that's definitely
they could do it,
and it would be an epic trilogy.
I
this
think
point.
It'd be a great
Absolutely.
trilogy.
Those guys are so skilled.
But as you mentioned earlier, Mike, obviously he wouldn't mind getting some revenge on Vitor Belfort either, man. That thing still sits with him pretty badly.
Oh, it does, and I think he's gotten a little better about it. But yeah, if you talk to him, I remember I saw him at International Fight Week last year, and you couldn't have a conversation about the dude. Even if you didn't bring up Vitor Belfort, he'd bring it up himself. Anything he could say, any topic with MMA, he steered back to Vitor Belfort. He's clearly gotten over a bit, and I'm sure, with the whole TRT thing being gone now, he probably looks at Vitor a bit differently. But yeah, that would be an incredibly intriguing rematch too. You can't, as we said earlier, you can't go wrong in the middleweight division right now. It's epic.
We'll listen to Luke Rockhold next. We'll tee that interview up. It sounds to me like he's banking on Chris Weidman winning, and it sounds to me like he's thinking him and Chris Weidman are going to meet in the main event of a December show at Madison Square Garden in New York. Obviously, there's still some hurdles to make that happen, but I think when you hear Luke Rockhold talk, you'll understand that that's pretty much what he's banking on right now. So thank you to everybody for listening. The MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. Mike Bohn is here with me. Justin Park is working diligently on the computer over there as we sip cold beverages and talk MMA. Hang tight. We'll listen to Luke Rockhold, and we'll talk a little bit more after that. You good? We'll just start rolling.
Yeah,
chop it up a little bit.
Always.
All right. Well, we are right here in the middle of UFC 187 Ultimate Media Day. Things are happening all around us, but we ducked out of the way a little bit because I got former Strikeforce champion, future UFC champion, Luke Rockhold.
What?
Is that the way you're doing it?
You tell the future?
I don't know.
Gypsy?
I don't know, man.
Ooh, I like it. No, I feel good. I feel good. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I don't see anybody better.
Well, your boy DC's over there stumping for you, man. He's out there saying that you're the guy to do it, man. You're the only guy that can give a champ a fight.
Yeah, I got DC on stage. Isn't he supposed to be answering his own questions right now?
Are you have to pay him for this stuff? He's saying you might need to give him pay-per-view points, by the way.
Hey. I think he's doing just fine. Bastard.
Well, listen, man, it's been about a month since your win over Lyoto Machida. I got a chance to speak to you a couple weeks ago up in San Jose. It was right after the fight. But it's been a month, man. I mean, talk about that fight. I mean, are you over it? Are you just gone and moved on? Or are you still in the afterglow a little bit? I mean, that was a hell of a fight.
It was came out pretty well for me. I'm not gonna lie. I wish they would all go that easy. I said it before. I knew I could go out there and make it look easy if I got him in my realm. I thought there'd be more of a feeling out process on the feet. I didn't think he'd be so quick to engage with me. I thought like for half a round or a whole round there wouldn't be much going on. That would be a lot of dancing and feeling, and I like to get my rhythm, and I knew he was the same way. And
that's
so
a typical Machida fight, right?
Typical. I was like, I really like to get loose and get warmed up, and then I start going. And he immediately came after me. I always pursue, and put some pressure on him, and then he would start lunging at me with left hands. So I was like, whoa, this is on already. All right, here we go. And I kind of loaded up a couple times with my classic right hook, my standard hook, and I missed him. Got caught with a couple little shots, and then I kind of zeroed it down a little more, but I hit him behind the head. Knocked him down with a little more of a forearm, I guess, or something, or whatever it was. I'll take it. And, was no slip. I knocked him down. Hey, it was a knockdown.
That was a knockdown.
Check, knockdown.
Doesn't matter how it comes.
Put it on the stats. Yeah, and then, I took advantage. So, I'm always, when I see go for the kill, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. You said that you were going to stay in shape for this fight because that was the thing that people were asking right away. Like, listen, man, you said you were going to stay in shape, but I got the feeling that was kind of a pretty reluctant answer from you. You were like, dude, I don't really want to do this. So did you stay in shape? Were you thinking about it? Or, would you have done it?
It definitely, it was in the back of my head, and I had a lot of injuries going into that camp. Going into that fight with Machida from the camp. And so I definitely wanted some time to come back to health and not have to fight, put these things in the back of my head and worry about them. But I was not gonna lie, I went on a run or two the next couple weeks.
All right, so Luke Rockhold did not stay in shape at all.
I jumped in the gym. a couple times, and I seriously, I said 3 weeks or whatever. I said 2 weeks, So I would have that notice. And beyond that point, I was sitting there like gearing up. I was like, Friday, Saturday, all right, time to go buck wild. Have some fun,
then you had a couple adult beverages.
I'm a single man. I like to have I like to have a good time and enjoy myself. It helps me out get back to camp.
Yeah, nice. So you've been enjoying yourself ever since then? A little vacations, anything like that? What have you been up to?
I have. I mean, I went out to I just went out to Birmingham with Muscle Farm. That was a nice little cool trip. We had some fun out there and work, and I've been traveling a lot of things coming up on the schedule here. So I've had a little bit of fun, but I definitely. I need to do something for myself here. So Vegas, this will be fun. I'll little work this weekend, and then enjoy a little time, and then I'm off to Phoenix next week. Actually, we got some fun stuff going on at the Exos Combine.
Oh, okay.
So
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
I'm not sure how in depth I can get, but it's gonna be a cool training experience. It's really better myself as an athlete and nutritionally and physically and just kind of get structure to everything I'm doing. So I'm very interested to go out there and see what they put me through.
That's cool. Fun week. So stay tuned. We'll learn some stuff about it, huh?
Yeah, and then out to Mexico City the week after. So Vegas,
not bad.
Phoenix, Mexico, come back. I might have something pretty cool planned too in between. I might make it out to Amsterdam for some work. So.
Oh, nice! Look at you.
Some cool stuff.
Traveling more than I do.
They keep throwing things on my plate, and some things you just can't turn down.
No, I hear you. Now, last time you were in Mexico, you found yourself in a bottle of tequila pretty quick. Is that
right, Garrett? Jesus.
Is that gonna happen this time, or are you trying to be like, oh well, I gotta start getting ready, or are you still in fun mode?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens this weekend and what the verdict is, and I think that'll dictate when and where I fight one of these guys. So, from what I understand, we might have a little time on our hands. So
yeah,
they'll definitely maybe no tequila, but maybe some mezcal.
All right, nice.
I'm gonna go for a little pure form.
Yeah, I like that.
Gets you that next level of
I like that. Well, I don't have my wife and kid with me this time in Mexico, so maybe we can have a cocktail down there.
Shit. Cocktail, street tacos. No, we're doing it up. Trust me, I'm searching Mexico City for the best street tacos ever.
We'll find them.
So I gotta be down there actually 2 weeks early. I'm
really
contemplating.
You're staying that long?
Well, I gotta go down and help Kane. I'm gonna go help Kane and he's going down there 2 weeks early and needs someone to train with. And
so you're just trying to get used to the elevation and everything, or is it media, or why is he going down so early?
Yeah, it's elevation, so he wants to get adjust to it, and what Verdum's like down there 2 months in advance, right? Yeah, so he's going to, I think, a little overboard, wasting a lot of money because he's going to need his money once Kane beats his ass. So I suggest you save what you got. Stop wasting on all your teammates and your training partners, your coaches, and everything, because you ain't going to have much after Kane's done with you.
That's fantastic. UFC hasn't really come out and said you're the number one contender that I've seen, but, I mean, there's no way you're not the number one contender. There's no way, and you kind of hinted at that there may be a little layoff for you. So, I mean, behind the scenes, they're letting you know, right? I mean, they've got to be letting you know.
I'm saying it's my shot, dude. That's all it is. I mean, it is what it is. Jacare getting a shot at the middleweight title, thinking he deserves a shot at the middleweight title is like Fabricio Verdum thinking he's a champion. I mean, you don't get middleweight title shots off beating Chris Camozzi off 1 week's notice. You don't become UFC heavyweight champions beating Mark Hunt on 1 week's notice. I mean, that's not how it is. That's not reality. So these guys need to wake up. Because this AKA world, baby, is all it is.
Not afraid to throw down. Well, break down this title fight, man. Weidman versus Belfort. Chris is like a 5-1, 6-1 favorite. I know you'll play a dollar or two here and there. You like to gamble a little bit, but a 5-1, 6-1 favorite. Do you think that's legit? I mean, is he that much better than Vitor Belfort?
I want to stand next to Vitor. I want to square up with him. I just want to see what he looks like, because that will give me a fair assessment of where I think he is. But I think Chris is a huge favorite. I think I mean, even if he was on the shit, I think Chris is still a big favorite.
Right.
Vitor has a brief moment in time where he's dangerous, and that window is closing more and more. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I want to see what he looks like. I want to see what he looks like, and that can, like, you know, he's obviously going to better himself when he's on it. It's gonna increase his speed. It's gonna increase like certain things. He's gonna fight a little harder, a little longer, you know. But he's gonna do it a lot faster without it, and he's not gonna have a lot of explosiveness. So I don't know. Is he clean? I don't know.
You know, I think fans want to see you match up with Chris Weidman. I know as a fan, that's a fight I want to see. I think stylistically you guys would be fantastic. But I just wonder, is there any part in you that would like to see Vitor win so you could get that revenge all at the same time?
Of course, there's a part of me that there's nothing I want more than to get my hands on Vitor's little chicken neck. But I like the fight with Chris. I think it's a fight I've been looking at for a long time, and I've envisioned and I knew it'll come. It'll come to fruition. I think truthfully, I think me and Chris were going to fight multiple times. I really see us kind of dominating this division for years to come, and I foresee us fighting, multiple times.
That's cool.
So,
have you ever interacted with him? Have you ever had talk with him or anything?
I've talked to Chris a lot. We've hung out back in the day, and we had mutual sponsors. We had American Ethanol. We'd go on trips together and stuff. And
oh wow.
Chris is a cool guy. We're friends, but business is business, and when the strap's on the line, there can be only one. So. It'd be an honor to fight him, but I know I have what it takes to get in there and get the job done.
It'd be a great fight. You talked about Vitor and obviously the testosterone era, and we're trying to move past that. We hope it's behind us. What's your thought on that, man? Now that it's kind of in the past, I mean, was it cheating the whole time, or should we, like in history, should we just look at it like that was an era where people could do it, or do you think we should just kind of wipe it clean and pretend like it never happened? What do you think?
I think that's for you guys to decide. I have my opinions on it. You see what they did with Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
I mean, what did they get credit for what they did? I mean, I don't know. I mean, why are we any different than any other sport? Well, Lance Armstrong. I mean, why? Yeah. So everyone knows how I feel about it. I could just beating a dead horse, I mean, it's like, it's just, I'm disgusted by it. I've been trying to fight clean my whole life.
Right.
And I will. And nothing's gonna make me, fall into that realm. So I don't know what to do. I'm gonna overcome these guys. It doesn't matter who they are and how long they last for. I'm fighting clean to the end. I'm gonna make it to the top.
That's awesome, man. So we've run into each other a couple times around the world, man. You're a guest fighter all the time. You mentioned your travels. Talk about on a scale of 0 to Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, how much fun do you have in your life? I mean, how much do you dedicate yourself to training? How much do you think it's important to go out and just enjoy your life and live it a little bit? Do you have to worry about, I don't want to drink, I don't want to do this? I mean, what's your attitude on how you live life and balance it with being an elite level athlete?
I like to enjoy myself. I think to each their own, and everyone functions differently. Everyone fights differently. Everyone needs a little something different. I grew up in Santa Cruz, and I need that. I need to be outside the gym. I need to have fun. I need to go surf. I need to travel. I need to chase women. I need to have some cocktails. So, that's me. So without that, I'm not going to be fresh in the gym. I'm not going to absorb new information. I'm not going to get that fire to push myself through the end of the training camp. So I need to get away. I need a little refreshment. I'm an outdoorsman, so I get that time, and then I come back, and I'm fired up. And now I'm like, once I get that itch, I'm out of the gym long enough, and start feeling guilty about partying and doing my thing. I'm like, I get that fire, and I want to go in there, and I want to fight. And so I think more so than ever, I've been more focused on staying somewhat in shape and ready to go. So I realize everything. I'm coming to my potential right now. I'm finally reaching my athletic prime and my technical prime, and I'm starting to get a hold of my body and just understand it and control it, and better than I've ever been. So I want it. There's nothing I want more than to be the best in the world, and that strap is within reach. And so every time I go out, I still go out and have fun. I'm still gonna go out. I'm gonna drink a lot of mezcal in Mexico. I'm gonna have a lot of street tacos, and I'm gonna maybe sample some Latin culture.
Air quotes, for instance.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you going to be rocking Sia on your iTunes as you go
Piano version chandelier.
Piano version,
It
is
is
that?
just pure?
I was not expecting to see that in your
on.
Instagram feed recently.
It is the most relaxing. It's like heaven. Seriously. I put that on when I get on a plane and I just like zone out. Fat guy next to me, crying baby behind me. I don't know nothing. I'm just
The piano version, though, that's what you got to go with.
You got to go with the piano version. It's all piano. Piano's like a different complete melody.
That's funny.
It's beautiful. It's check it.
That's funny. I saw
I'm not
you.
gonna say it.
I saw
shame,
you.
no shame.
No shame in your game at all. I saw you skateboarding the other day. I saw a video where you were doing some skateboarding. Was that just a setup for a video shoot or something, or do you like to skate?
I love to skate. I'm all worried because every time I get on a skateboard, I go out there and I try to hurt myself. I just get fired up. It's like the old days, and I can still skate. I still got it. So, but I've skated probably about 10 times in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's not enough to be good.
Still pretty good. 10 times in the last 5 years, and I'd say 6 of those I've been for a video shoot. So Fox Sports wanted to do. They're like, "Oh, we heard you skate. Like, we've done the surfing thing, this and that." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And they're beating it out. So they're like, "How about skateboarding? Can we get you on skateboard?" I'm like, "I haven't skated in at least a year."
You were landing some tricks, though. You were doing a little bit.
Yeah, so I got some cool stuff. I punted a couple airs and do some pulled out, the old bag of tricks. I went back to my little stomping grounds. I was like, if we're gonna do this, we're going right here. This is like where I feel most comfortable. So I went back to little Scotts Valley Park in Santa Cruz and just started, hit my little quarter pipe and just slarched it up and did some fun stuff. It should air on Fox coming up, I think next month or something like that. So got some cool stuff. Put a little taste, a little feeler out on my Insta.
I like it.
But,
I like it.
It's now I got that wild hair, and once I did, I'm like, skateboard's sitting there just staring at me every time I walk out the door. I'm like, Keep having to remind myself here.
I'm sure Dana would appreciate it if you'd stay off of it.
I know. I heard Dana's got a pretty sick half pipe in his backyard for his kids.
Oh, really?
Hey, Dana, what's up? Teach your kids how to go.
Roll over and skate at the White Mansion.
Hey, why not?
That'd be all right.
Hey, teach his kids a little something.
I saw you talking a lot about basketball too. Are you a basketball guy, or are you just kind of tuning in for the playoffs?
I've always, my dad was a big basketball guy. So growing up, I was a huge fan. Always Michael Jordan era, and Bulls, Pippen, Warriors back in the day, Timmy Hardaway.
Well, they're coming back.
Even Mullen, you gotta respect that. Those are my team. My dad played the summer league with the Warriors.
Oh, really?
Had his cup of coffee with the Warriors. Played a few years in Europe and then came over and ended up playing the whole summer league there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it was. My dad had his time. I don't think he took it seriously enough. He thought he was like a shoe in.
Right.
Yeah. And then he didn't make the cut, I guess. He pretty awesome experience to be able to played on the court with Dr. J and D'd up David Robinson and a lot of big names, So it's, my dad was like kind of a local legend for basketball around the Bay Area. So he did his thing. And he forced me into it. We won. I was playing basketball from before I was doing anything really. So won a couple AAU championships back in the day.
Really?
Yeah. Got a funny one of the first fights I've been in was like 12 years old or something like that. We did an AAU championship game, and in the championship we were going against Oakland.
Right.
In Oakland.
Rough and tough.
Yeah, it was like I think it was in Oakland for sure, and it was little Santa Cruz white boys taking on the Oakland team. Believe it or not, these little white boys were schooling them.
Right.
We're taking them to school, and we're taking them. And it was a pretty close game, but then in the end it came down to we started running away with it a little bit, and it was 6-8 point lead or something like that. And I was gonna came up, somebody passed me the ball, and I was just gonna seal the deal. I had a little free throw, I had a shot at the free throw line, passed it around. I got the ball and I go up to take the shot, and they're just time's running low, and some dude took a cheap shot at me, so I go up for the jumper, and he sweeps my legs out from the back because they knew they were gonna lose.
Right.
Kind of like last like 30 seconds, and I flipped backwards, almost like break my neck on the floor, and my coach runs off the bench because he realized it was a cheap shot and time runs out, and he runs off and he grabs the kid. This little tug by the shirt. He's like, "Hey, don't you ever do?" And starts snapping on him. And this, we're like 12 years old, you know what I mean? This is a grown man grabbing and it was so dirty. It was like
right.
And
pissed him off that much.
Yeah, pissed him off that much to realize that, and the whole Oakland bench clears, like just the whole stands of just gnarly. You can imagine. Like
I've been to Oakland. I can imagine what that was like.
Yeah, the whole freaking side of their stadium cleared, and there's 50 of them just mobbing the floor towards the coach. I ran in the corner, like Santa Cruz. Everyone's trying to defuse it. I was just sitting in the corner. No, I'm good. Hey, no big deal, bro. People all these kids are running around trying to get my face. I was like, hey, no, I'm not.
The one dude that didn't want to fight is the future world champion. That's hilarious.
Yeah, right. None of us wanted to go. Are you kidding me? We knew how that game rolls, so we were gonna mess with Oakland around that time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Rocking your Adidas gear today, by the way. I want to say that if there's one thing I'm jealous of, it's your Adidas sponsorship, man. I've been rocking Adidas since I was a kid, and you landed. That's the one to have, man. Are you going to be able to? Have you talked to them yet? Are they going to stick with you after
Adidas?
July and all that?
Reebok.
Yeah. Well, that's just the same company. I forgot. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So you're good after July. They're going to stick with you think? Or?
I got a 2-year contract.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's cool. I mean, I get paid upon my ranking, right?
Right.
So
very cool.
I'm gonna look for that top dollar on my Reebok deal, and then I'm gonna take my Adidas deal.
Double dip,
baby.
dip.
Hey, who doesn't want a double dip?
That's what's up.
Why not?
That's what's up. Well, they're about to do face-offs here, so I won't keep much longer. I know you're sure when you want to watch your boy. Real talk, Cormier versus Johnson. Rumble's a scary dude. That is a big, strong man that knocks people out. How does Cormier get this thing done?
Yeah, he's a scary dude, but Cormier's not an easy guy to hit. You don't see him in there getting tagged by a lot of guys. And Johnson loads up. He looks for those kill shots, and I think Cormier can take him off his game. Again, I think he got too emotional with John Jones.
Yeah.
I think he got blinded by it. It fogs your thinking. You can't think straight, and he didn't. And he kind of got into a firefight with him and put him in stuff in situations that he shouldn't have been in.
Yep.
This fight is just about keeping a cool head and staying focused on what he's got to do. If he stays on the outside, stays smart, picks his shots, he can kick, he can punch with him, he can box, he can do all that. So, and then he can wrestle with him. I think mixing it up and just outsmarting him from the outside, I think is our game plan, and that's our best asset. So I mean, I think Cormier, he sticks to the game plan, does that. I think Johnson can hang with him. I think we start running away with it. So as long as we do that, Johnson has the power to finish guys. I mean, there's no doubt if he could catch somebody with a full shot, but it's going to be hard to put it all on one shot and catch him. I mean, he's not going to sit there.
Constant pressure, constant movement, right?
Yeah, constant pressure, constant movement, up and down, level changes, everything. That's the key. He caught Gustafsson.
Yeah.
He caught Gustafsson. Gustafsson was really weird when they had that break, and then he forced the engagement really quick. We were like, he should have waited and found his timing, and he did that snap kick or whatever, and he got caught off it. So that was a weird situation for him. Nogueira, DC's a lot faster than Nogueira. Nogueira went in there scared. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know where his head was at. Why he even took the fight.
I think we all knew what was going to happen in that fight.
I don't know why he even took the fight if he's going to go in there and just back up and just sit on the fence. That was different. So Phil Davis, it was a good fight, but DC's he's a lot better stand-up fighter than Phil. Yep. And so he's going to have to – Johnson can't just fire away and not worry about takedowns. He's got to worry about getting hit, and he's got to worry about getting taken down, because DC can knock him out, and he can take him down at will, and a lot better of a takedown artist than Phil Davis. So
it's a great fight.
It's going to be a fun one. I'm really excited. I think we match up well, and I'm ready to take that thing home.
You'll be in the corner Saturday night?
I'll be front row.
Nice. Oh, you're just going to watch from the stands, yeah?
Yeah, DC's got a lot of little lollipop kids around him. So he likes his little lollipop boxing coaches.
Nice. Well, you get to enjoy it then. You don't have to coach it up. You can enjoy it a little bit more from the stands.
Yeah, and I'll be in the back with him, and then I'll join him. I'll join front row, and I'll be coaching. Do my own thing. So
nice. Then when do we see Chris Weidman, Luke Rockhold? When does that go down?
It goes down Madison Square Garden in December.
That's the one.
It's happening.
So New York, get it done.
New York is happening.
It's gonna do it.
Manifesting.
Love it. That's a great.
It's a long ways away.
It's a long ways away.
But I'll be ready.
It's a hell of a fight.
It's a fight. It's a fight to wait for.
I agree. That'd be a great one. Madison Square Garden. That'd be a great main event right there.
Co-main event. Frankie Edgar versus.
I like it. I like where your head's
versus
at.
who?
Oh, I know. I'm going Jose Aldo right now, man.
Jose Aldo.
I'm giving Conor a chance though, man. I think he's not all talk. He's a legit fighter.
No, Conor's legit. I think he matches up well with Jose too, because
Yep.
Jose's going to stand there. He's going to trade with him.
Yep.
I think they avoided the right guys to get him to this position.
They're smart. They know
build
what
up
they
the
did.
fight. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think Conor is I think Frankie's a horrible matchup for Conor. I think Chad Mendes is a horrible matchup. Guys that can mix it up. Frankie's just he's so hard to hit, so hard to find, and he's a warrior even if you do hit him.
Yep.
And he's got great instincts when he gets hit, and he's always going to transition and wrestle and get out.
I agree.
I think he mixes it up, so I think both those guys beat him. But it's a hard one to pick with the Jose Conor. I think it's like 50-50 almost.
I agree. Stylistically, that's the one. I think Chad and Frankie both beat him pretty handily, but
yeah.
I think that's a good matchup.
I think Conor's he's got that rhythm, he's got that flow, he's got power, but he loops everything a little bit, and he's got his chin up, very Irish style.
Yep.
And then you have Conor. Then you have Jose's got that more of a fast twitch muscle, and he's straighter with his punches. So I think he'd potentially beat him to the punch and drill him, and he hits hard. He kicks. Those leg kicks are just vicious. So Conor's in for a real fight. He's never been in a real fight.
Yep.
And so we're about to learn a lot about Conor McGregor, and we know what we have with Jose Aldo. So
I like where your head's at.
I think it's a great fight.
I think that'd be a hell of a Madison Square Garden. All right, brother. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, man. Let's go run over here and watch these stare downs.
Let's do it.
Appreciate it, brother.
Always pleasure.
All right, so that was the always confident, maybe slightly cocky Luke Rockhold, but he's a good dude, man. He's always been good to me. He gets used as a guest fighter quite a bit.
He is. He was in Montreal too.
Yeah.
He shot that preview show with me, which was a fun time.
He's a good dude, man.
He's good. He's his fight analysis could use a little bit of work, but that'll come in time. You know, you spend enough time around DC, I'm sure it'll work. You know, Daniel Cormier has just turned into an unbelievable talker.
He's great.
He's so articulate, so intelligent, just has everything going for him. And I'm sure spending enough time around Cormier, Luke Rockhold will improve that part of his game even more over the years.
You have a preference for which fight you want to see? Now, I think we both said we're picking Weidman over Belfort, but let's take that out of the equation. Do you have a fight you'd rather see? Would you rather see the rematch with Belfort, or would you rather see the Weidman fight?
I think I'd rather see the Weidman fight. That's just, God, these guys are so good, so both young, they're so talented. It's unbelievable. Like, you know, I just have a hard time finding words sometimes for these guys that are just so skilled. Like,
especially
you
after a few beers.
Yeah, you can't. But you can't define it, right? Like, you can't. You're just like, God, they're just so skilled. Like, it's like this Cormier and Anthony Johnson fight.
Yep.
They're both incredibly talented, and it's fun to see those kind of matchups come together. We don't get it all the time. It's one of those fights. Even, you know, Cormier and Johnson coming up. How often do you have? I know none of them are technically the champion right now, but you don't have these title fights with, like, you know, plus 110, minus 110 odds.
Yeah.
These really close odds. It doesn't happen too often, and it's really those are the most intriguing fights they can get, as opposed to, you know, what I think Chris Weidman's around as high as minus 675 or something like that. You can find him right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So those are more intriguing, those close title fights, which we don't get too often.
And I think that would be close. I mean, I think Rockhold Weidman, that would be like pick him, right?
That
slight
fight
Weidman,
is just hot fire.
Weidman.
It's fire. It's great. It has everything going for it. And if they could do it in New York in December, I mean, I'd be bummed if if Weidman, you know, runs through Belfort, if we have to wait till December to see him fight again. really don't want that, especially with how inconsistent his schedule has been over there. Yeah, like even think he was out a year before he fought Anderson Silva the first time. I think he has 3. He fought Mark Munoz in July 2012, and he has 3 fights since then.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it that way, it does make.
Yeah, we need to see him fight a bit more, but I'm sure he would be more than willing to wait out till December if the MSG is possible. But selfishly, as a person who wants to see these titles defended more, especially with how many champions we've had injured lately, I want to see these guys fighting more often. It's kind of unfortunate the run we've had with champions lately, especially like Dos Anjos, who you'll talk to later on the podcast. They win the belt and then they're out for half a year or longer. It's unfortunate, but I understand the process. They're not going to pull out of the title fight before and get surgery or whatever. They're going to wait until they're going to take the risk, because we know how just title fights in the UFC, if you get one, you might not ever get one again if you pull out of the fight. It's super risky. Look at Karo Parisian is still the most outstanding example of that in my mind. Just, he had that shot, pulled out, and just fall from grace from there and never recovered to that period ever again.
That's it, man. Well, you mentioned his name, Rafael Dos Anjos, the UFC lightweight champion right now. He was kind enough to sit down with me earlier today as well. He talks about what's going on with his knee, the latest, how he's doing, recovering from surgery. And he also teases the fact that he could potentially change divisions in the very near future and make a little move. So as we have another one of these frosty beverages, we just had a fresh round delivered, which is fantastic. As we enjoy these fine adult cocktails, we'll let you sit back and listen to Rafael Dos Anjos, probably one of the most underappreciated UFC champions right now, I'd say, maybe other than Demetrius Johnson, who seems to get no love, which I think is ridiculous because I love watching Mighty Mouse fight. But Dos Anjos, I think, struggles to get that respect as well. But you look at what he's done on paper, it's hard to argue with the track record he's put together. So we talked to him about how he's doing, recovering from the surgery, what's going on with his future.
Bobby Green's accusations.
We did talk about Bobby Green's accusations. We talked about Cowboy Cerrone, whether or not he's the number one contender, what Khabib Nurmagomedov has to do for a title fight once he gets back. So we'll just hear it straight from his mouth. Sit back and listen to it straight from Rafael Dos Anjos. This is the MMA Roadshow. John Morgan, Mike Bohn joining me from Canada. But right now, let's hear from the champ. I am here with UFC lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos. We're media day's over. Ballroom's emptied out a little bit, but still a couple of journalists hanging around, and Rafael is nice enough to stop by. Start there. Lightweight champion, UFC champion. Does it still sound good 2 months later?
Yeah, it is, man. Just enjoy my time, and can't wait to come back training. I'm still fixing my knee. Just went to the doctor last Monday, and so it's been 2 months so far. And he said probably 1 or 2 more months to start training again. And I'm just enjoying my time. And, I had a busy year last year, but can't wait to start training again.
No doubt. What are you able to do right now? Do you run on a treadmill? Do you swim? Can't do anything? What are you able to do?
Yeah, I pretty much doing bike, which is a part of my rehab.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of boring to do this all day, and I'm trying to work my upper body, core, a lot of abs. I'm able to hit bags, but which I like, it's kind of different thing. But I can't move, anything. I have to hit the bag, but stand still.
Oh, really?
I can pivot. I can move sideways, just forward and backwards.
Wow. Has it been difficult for you to, do you want to push yourself and have to remind yourself no, stop?
Yeah, I've been trying push a little bit, but every time I get too exciting, I feel a little bit my knee, and that's why the doctor said we don't want that, we don't want you feel that pain all the time.
Right.
You have to be avoid of that, but man, I have to be patient.
Yeah. So what's it like for you being champion? Do people treat you different? Do they look at you different? Do they talk to you different? What's that like for you?
Yeah, man, it's been really good, and I think like the fans is being like I rock around a little bit here. The MGM just got here, and a lot of fans asking for picture, and then they still congratulate me for my last performance, and I'm so happy about that. And but anything change on my mind, I still the same guy, I still hungry, I still has fire in it. I still wanna fight. I still wanna train. I'm a hyperactive guy. I'm sad because I can't train it, but anything change. I think it's just the beginning for me.
How about when you're at home? Does like your wife say, "Rafael, get up and take the trash out," and you go, "No, I'm the UFC lightweight champion. I'm not taking the trash out."
No, that at home she's the boss. So whatever she said, she's the only one who beat me.
Where's the belt? You got the belt on display at the house?
No, the belt is on the side of my bed. We still figured out some place to put it, but right now it's on the side of my bed. Safe place.
Very cool. You said I saw you post on I guess Instagram the other day that you said, "I feel like this is the beginning of my legacy," and you just kind of said it there. What do you see as your legacy? I mean, obviously getting to this point is huge, but what do you see? Do you have new goals now, and what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I'm 30 years old. I just got my lightweight belt. I looking forward to defend this like for a couple times, and maybe I'm looking forward maybe do some fights on welterweight division, on the future.
Yeah.
And I think once I get old, I'm gonna get tired of this thing like cutting weight.
Right.
Just go there and fight, and I think that's my goal. Defend my belt some couple times, and maybe go to welterweight division, do some like super fight like Ben Henderson did.
And you know what? I think that made me, I know me personally, I think a lot of people, such a fan of Ben Henderson. That fight that he had with Brandon Thatch was so inspiring to see him move up a weight class and fight a guy that was so big. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I was cheering for him like he was my best friend. And I like when he fight, like the way he fight, and it's just, man, sometimes it's not too hard on the body. It's too hard on the body to cut a lot of weight.
Right.
It's kind of stressful. I think once you get older, you know how to fight already. You just like go there and fight. Without have that extra stress of cutting weight.
Yeah.
That's my goal for the future.
That's awesome. Do you cut a lot of weight or?
A little bit. Actually, it's not. My last fight was pretty easy. But compared to this fight, I don't know, because I got a lot of fight in a row. My body was holding a lot of weight, but my walk around weight is like kind of 195.
Wow.
Sometimes 200, 205, depend how I eat.
Depend if you go to the churrascaria or.
Yeah, man, I have a good habits. I don't eat bad, but anything I eat, my body keeps it.
Right.
I don't know. I think because last year was a busy year, but anything I eat, man, my body retain it.
Wow.
Every time I eat some salt, if I go to churrascaria one day,
Oh, yeah.
man, that week can be so heavy.
Nice. So 170 someday, but you want to defend the belt a couple times first, just to what? To prove, to silence any doubters, maybe to prove your legacy or to prove your legitimacy as champion. Is that why you want to do it first?
Yeah, man. I wanna. I wanna prove everyone that I'm not a champion by luck. I'm doing I work hard, and I wanna prove everyone I'm a top 10 pound for pound fighter in the world, and I just wanna prove everyone that that, man, I came to stay. It's not by like I'm gonna stay for one title defense. No, I came to stay.
I mean, I can understand. I think some people maybe think that, they didn't know your name, they didn't know what you accomplished. But, I mean, if you look at your record and what you did to get there, they can't really argue with that, right?
Yeah, it's I did not got on UFC by accident. I did not got my title shot like day from night. I work a lot for that. It's been 6 years since I got in UFC, almost 7 years. Man, it took me 17 fights. I fought against the best. I fought against the best guys in the division, and I never pull over the fight. I never, say no to the fight. I always, man, UFC is my boss. Whatever they give me, I took the fight. I don't pick fights to try to make, like a lot of wins straight to have a title shot. I just go there and fight.
I saw, Bobby Green for once came out and threw some accusations, some, drug use and things like that. When you hear stuff like that, I mean, does it hurt your feelings? Does it anger you? What do you think when people? Is it just they can't understand your hard work, or they need to find an excuse? Why do you think that is?
Yeah, man, I was surprised with that accusation too, because we trained together. At that time, he asked me to do like some rounds with him, and then he said, "Hey, Rafa, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of yours." Okay, and then I said, "Okay, let's spar." And then we spar, and he was really like cool guy that day. And then
Yeah.
I didn't understand why he did, but what he did, these accusations. But man, I'm the best guy in the world. So he just spar with the best in the world. That's right. He's number 10, number, I don't know, maybe 8.
Right.
That's the feeling to spar with the best. And next time I'll not take it easy on him, because I took it easy on him. He complained about my kicks. I say, okay, no kicks. And then he said, okay, no high kicks. He just complaining. But next time I will not take it easy.
Nice. This weekend, obviously, a fantastic card. In your division, Cowboy Cerrone, John McDessie. I think most of us consider that if Cowboy wins that fight, he probably deserves a fight with you. There are some people saying that if he beats John McDessie, that's not enough because John McDessie isn't a big guy. But I say it's not Cowboy's fault that Khabib Nurmagomedov got hurt. He's fighting who's there. So what do you think? If Cowboy wins, do you think that's the guy that deserves to fight you?
I think Cowboy already deserve. If he has an option to wait, my knee get better, and I think in my opinion, he's already has a shot, because do what he did, 7 wins straight is not easy. And man, he did it. He did it his whole fight camp. People cannot blame him of the injury of Khabib. He did his job, and in my opinion, he has a lot of balls to accept this fight against McDessie. In my opinion, he's already have a title shot.
That's awesome. So you think you guys will hook up later this year if he picks up a win, yeah?
Yeah, man, it'll be good. It'll be good to have that rematch.
I agree. How about Nurmagomedov? You talked about Khabib getting hurt. He's got a fantastic record as well. He's accomplished a lot of things. I'm sure that's a fight that interests you. What do you think? If he comes back, does he need to fight again, or do you think he could be right after?
Yeah, I think he needs to fight back, because he needs to get better. I think it's hard to stay like out for 18 months and start like right away fight for like 5 rounds for a title shot. I think he needs to do one more fight, and if he wins, I think he deserves a shot too. And I'm excited for that, man. I will be ready for anyone.
Nice. You think? Because those are the two guys I think that people want to see you fight. You talked about this, dream of maybe moving up to 170. Do you think those two would be enough, or do you think there's a couple other names maybe that you need to beat? Do you need to beat Pettis again to make sure people don't say it's luck, or what do you think? You think that's enough?
No, I think like after 5 rounds of unanimous decision, complete domination, I think I don't need prove anyone that it was luck. And one thing I think Renzo Gracie said, as much as I train, as luck as I get. And I train hard. I don't play at the gym, but I hope Khabib get better soon. He's a young kid, and I think I have my belt, and I have this injury. It's not that bad as his, but I already feel bad. I want to training. I imagine to be on his shoes. Should be really, really bad, and I wish him all the best.
Nice. Where did you learn English, by the way, man? Your English is awesome. How did you take classes for it? Did you teach yourself? How'd you learn English?
No, man. My kids.
Really?
My kids, they speak so well, and I'm living here for 3 years and a half already, and I've been practicing. I'm trying to get better. So the fans can know me better, and I think my kids been helping me too.
That's awesome. So they just learn it in school, and they talk to you in English at home?
No, we talk in Portuguese at home, but sometimes if I talking to somebody, especially my younger one, he always try to correct me because my pronunciation is not that good, and they speak like they are American already. They speak so well. And anytime I make some mistake, he correct me, and then I try to improve.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's great. I've been to Brazil 20 times, and I speak no Portuguese. I know un mais cerveja. That's about it. That's all I got, man.
That's what you need, man. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, Rafael, I appreciate you stopping by and spending a few minutes with me. What fans that want to keep up with you, I know you can't fight for a while, so what can they do? Are you making appearances, or should they just follow you on social media? How can people still keep up with your career, man?
Yeah, I'm planning to go to Brazil in 3 weeks to do some seminars over there, and I'm trying, to enjoy my family as much as I can. I'm planning to go to Europe maybe on July, while I'm not fighting, but I'm trying just like to enjoy my time, have my stay with my kids, go to the mountains, hit some trails with the quads, off road. I like stay with the. I like to have this contact, with the nature. I like that.
So, but you got to be careful on those quads with the knee, right?
Yeah, but I go slow, I have a one for my kids, so we go slow and not go that crazy.
That's awesome, man. Last thing, you got a pick for this weekend? Daniel Cormier, Anthony Johnson. You got a pick for that one?
Man, Cormier is a really tough guy, but I think Anthony Johnson, he's was training already for that fight. He has that. Daniel Cormier took a short notice, and for the way that I saw at embedded, I felt like a lot of confidence on Johnson's eyes.
Yeah.
I think he has that fire. I think he's gonna take that.
I agree. I'm leaning that way too, man. Cormier is a great fighter. It wouldn't surprise me if he wins. He's well-rounded, great wrestler, but Anthony Johnson, man, he's just
we can see, man. We can feel the energy between compare those guys. His energy is way like we can see that guy, and that's my time. I'm gonna get it.
awesome, man. Well, hey, brother, thanks again for stopping by. I wish you all the best, and look forward to seeing you fight later this year, man.
Thank you. Hope so.
So that was the UFC lightweight champion, soon to be perhaps a UFC welterweight. I don't know. He says sounds like he's got some business left to handle at 155 pounds. But Mike, what do you think? I mean, some of these welterweights are big, but at the same time, man, I think there is something to be said for not cutting weight and not putting your body through it. So what do you think? Rafael dos Anjos at 170 pounds. Are you buying that?
It's interesting. You talk to these guys, and I understand where he's coming from. I think he's getting a little older in age. These guys don't want to cut weight, but it's like, just fight at welterweight anyways, right? Of course he's not going to move up and he's the champion, but it's just one of these things we hear countless times, fight at your natural weight where you feel more comfortable. Do I know Dos Anjos would be as elite as he would or as competitive as he is now fighting at welterweight? It's a tough call to say until we see him there, but I'd be for it. If he feels like that's the weight class that would benefit him in the future, why not? It's a little premature right now, especially when you're the lightweight champion, literally the most stacked weight class in the sport. There's 107 lightweights on the UFC roster right now. So many guys who are on – it's the most – out of any of the weight classes, like I think there's about 8 or 9 guys in the division who are on at least a 3 or 4 fight win streak. And you look at all the other weight classes, there's like – 3.
Right.
I think there's like light heavyweight. There's 3 guys who have had more than a 3-fight win streak. One of them is Fabio Maldonado, who is technically he has a 4-fight win streak at light heavyweight because his past 2 losses being at heavyweight and a catch weight.
See what you did there with the asterisk.
Nice. So like there's things like that, and just lightweight so absolutely stacked. There's all these killers. So if you're the lightweight champion, I don't think you should be thinking about any other weight class until you make it to 5, 6, 7 title defenses, which no one's been able to do in that division ever. So it's a nice thing to talk about. How would he do at that weight class? But it's just so far off from reality right now. The UFC, as much as maybe Dos Anjos would want to, the UFC is not going to let him move up to welterweight as long as he holds the title.
Yeah, and
if he loses the title and he feels he'd be better at that division, go for it.
He admits he's got work left to do, obviously. And, of course, if Cerrone wins this weekend, Nurmagomedov, I think those are the 2 biggest glaring
lots of
contenders
guys
that need to be taken care of.
You got like Tony Ferguson. You got
Ferguson's a beast. Love
so
watching him.
so many killers. There's so many good guys in that division. It's just terrifying.
I will say this, though, and obviously we mentioned it in the interview, but, man, when Benson Henderson moved up to 170, I felt like it was just so damn inspiring, man. Like that made me more of a Benson Henderson fan than I've ever been.
That
I mean,
was
he's
the
done so
smartest
many
career
great
move
things, but
he's done
it was
ever.
amazing.
It was unbelievable. His stock has gone up so much higher, and he's more valuable than he ever was as champion right now.
It was one of the few times, I'm not going to lie, it was one of the few times where I literally had to contain myself. Like, I wanted to, like, just stand up at press row and just applaud for him. And I feel like that was such an incredible performance that, no, of course you can't do it. But it was like one of those things where it's like, I feel like we should almost be able to. This thing was so damn amazing.
Yeah, no, watching that was absolutely so impressive. Just what he was able to do against Thatch. Obviously Thatch, he's got some work to do on his own. He's not the most proven welterweight in the world. It's
Right.
not like he's a top 5 guy or anything, but he's tough as hell. He's massive for a welterweight. So it's not like Benson was fighting a guy who's a small welterweight.
He's
He's
huge.
enormous. So yeah, it's just impressive. And that the reason that was so impressive and such a takeaway is, why did MMA become a thing in the first place? And look back at the old UFC days. No weight classes,
Right.
no rules, all
It
these
was
things.
the tiny hoist
You
Gracie.
just wanted to see, skill versus skill. It doesn't matter what the weight is, all these things. That's why it was great back in the day when Pride had these open weight tournaments and all this stuff. Like, it's very cool to see these guys who just, God, like, he's so much bigger, but he can make up for it in skill. Does skill beat strength? Does size beat skill? Like, it's just, it's these questions that MMA was built, the foundation of MMA was built from.
Yep.
And that's just, so it's awesome to see. We don't get it too often, but it was so cool to see a performance like that, and just someone like Benson Henderson take on that challenge and go for it. And it seems like he's a little bit of a trailblazer in a way. You see these guys, Dos Anjos mentioned in the interview that we just had, he's saying that he loved that fight. He was like a fan.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
was a fan.
and he knocked out Benson Henderson in the first round, and he's like, I felt like I was his teammate and like his best friend. I was so stoked for him, and he was cheering for him, and it's cool to see. That's what MMA was made out of, and more guys need to do that. We have Jorge Masvidal moving up to welterweight now, and it's just a whole thing. And obviously, weight cutting is a completely different issue that we could do 2 more podcasts talking about in itself, but. I feel like slowly but surely we're starting to buck the trend, and guys are starting to realize that, maybe it's better for my career to fight at a more natural weight and move up a weight class, and it's just better for your body. Why kill yourself and just deplete yourself? And they're probably starting to wonder, how would I do if I didn't have to drop X amount of weight? And
Yep.
it's just it's very interesting. And Benson Henderson, I'm sure if we ever get to an era, I know California is trying to do different things with monitoring weight cuts and all these different things. Maybe in the future we'll look back at a guy like Benson Henderson and be like, he was one of those dudes that is fought at the weight class that made him feel more comfortable, or at least temporarily. I know he's not a permanent welterweight right now, but I feel like in the future we're probably going to see more and more guys moving towards, less extreme weight cuts and more focusing on the performance and allowing your skills to show more than just being bigger and stronger.
I agree. Well, that's going to do it for us, man. It's been fun, Mike. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, thank you for spending part of your 24th birthday.
Absolutely.
Not only watching Conor McGregor stretch, but also talking some MMA here on the MMA Roadshow. It's been a lot of fun. But it's getting late in the night. It's getting dark out here. You've got to go celebrate. I think there may be a Spearmint Rhino visit in your near future, is what I'm hearing. And I think that would be a wise decision.
TBD.
Take it from an old 37-year-old man. I think that would be well worth the investment. So, listen, that's going to do it for us. Sitting out here on the patio again, live from Las Vegas. Buffalo Wild Wings at Warm Springs, Durango. Always nice enough to let us just sit out here and talk MMA and look like goofballs with headphones on and computers open and partake of a few adult beverages and talk some MMA. So it's been great. Mike, I really do appreciate the time, man. Thanks for working with us all week. And listen, we're going to enjoy the rest of these frosty beverages. Mike is going to enjoy his birthday. But don't turn it off just yet, because as promised, another guy who talks about taking care of his body and all those things, Mr. Conor McGregor himself. We spent some time with him earlier today, and I'm going to play this show out with the audio that we did from that interview. And next week, we will be in Goiânia, Brazil. I could not pick it out on a map, could not tell you where it is exactly, but listen, 4 weeks, 4 fight cards, 4 continents, because that's how we do on the MMA Roadshow. Listen, obviously, MMAroadshow.com. Cold Coffee, my man, has been putting up videos and all kinds of stuff. He's trying to help build out that site, so you can download there. You can see other things there. Some of the stuff that we don't put on MMAjunkie, you can see there. Also, of course, you can listen to us on iTunes. If you are listening on iTunes, do me a favor, subscribe, review, tell us we're awesome, whatever, all that good stuff. Instagram, we always take pictures of everything we're doing as well, so you can follow along and see where we're at. But most importantly of all, of course, thank you very much for listening.
You've moved your camp out here to Las Vegas, obviously well in advance of the July fight. Tell us about daily life at the McMansion and the evolution of your camp.
It's pretty good. This is every fighter's dream. Every fighter dreams of the ability to be able to change the weather. I can change the weather. I left Dublin with my team. The fight is in Las Vegas. It's desert air out here. The clock is different out here. You must get accustomed to it. We are in a position where we can come out here, set up shop in a big house, fly everyone from back home out here. The people who've been with me from day one are here. I don't look around. I look around and see only familiar faces. So.
How big of a group do you have in there?
Right now, I think there's 12 in the house. We're chopping and changing. We adjust as we go. Gunny is coming out, I think 5 weeks out. Carl, a few of my other teammates, and my wrestling coach Sergey coming out next week. I've got some pro boxing partners that I spar with back home coming out here. We can do whatever we want. We go by the feel of it. If one day I feel I need to do something, we book a flight.
Conor, I know you're no stranger to attention, but this experience today, is it bizarre even for you?
It's growing every time. I mean, it's growing every time. I mean, I was in the gym at 3 o'clock last night, 3 in the morning. This is not my time to train. I don't train at this time. I wake up and I stretch and do yoga at this time and eat and relax. I train at 11, 12 at night. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's good to see everyone turn up and show up. And I appreciate every single person here. It means a lot.
How close to a normal workout was this today?
Just playing around. There was no. You're ringing around and saying, well, you're going to be in the cage, you're going to be in the mat. So, I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm just going to go and open up the gym and mess, hit the bag, hit the pads, do some yoga, do some balance work, mess around on the bars. Just playing around here.
Have you ever imagined this Conor
But it's all
McGregor
like
fever?
that. It's all like that. It's all play.
Have you ever imagined this Conor McGregor fever?
I don't know. I could believe it, and people will say, I can't believe this is happening, but I can believe it, and I did believe it, and that's why it's happening.
What do you think about Brazil? I'm from Brazil. Do you believe you're the new Chael for Aldo?
No. Look, every contest they compare me to somebody new. I've been compared to Chael on many occasions. The Brazilians compare me to Chael. The Americans these days are trying to compare me to Muhammad Ali. I've been compared to Mick Diaz. I've been compared to Anderson Silva. I've been compared to everybody in the fight game. But I am just me. This is just human nature. People look to relate you to somebody that they know, that they are familiar with. It's just human nature. People do that. But time will tell that I am not any of them. I am me. And the next young kid that's on his way up, he will be compared to me. This is human nature. But I am not Chael.
How much is marketing? How much is true for you?
Say that again. How much is what?
How much is marketing? Is it true about the fight? About the? Do you love Aldo? Say a message for Aldo now.
Yeah, I don't love anybody. I don't hate anybody either. I have no feelings towards anybody in this game. It's business. Business has no feelings. So, for me, it's business, and business is good these days.
Conor, Las Vegas just saw its biggest boxing match of all time, but a lot of people were disappointed in the lack of action. Tell people why your fight with Jose Aldo won't lack that action.
I mean, I thought the fight was okay. Manny went for it. He had a bust-up shoulder. He still showed up on the night, threw his shots. He had Floyd more hurt than anybody had Floyd hurt. But then Floyd showed his grit and his defensive capabilities and done what he had to do. But it's a different sport. That's boxing. This is unrestricted, pure, unarmed combat. So the action is plenty. When there is clinch and there is tie-ups, it's not a hold waiting for the referee to separate and then the action begins. It's continuous flow. People end up on the mat, up, down. And then you've got two maybe people might say that Floyd and Manny were past their prime when they made the contest. This is two people in their prime looking to compete. So, but I don't really pay attention to that. This is my business, and I'll go out there to fight like I always do. I'll go forward. I'll push the pace. I'll hit him hard. I'll make him miss, and I'll be prepared to go wherever it goes.
Conor, the World Tour was such an intense experience. How did you kind of decompress after that and get back to reality?
Yeah, to be honest, it was a weird experience for us. You know, it was a lot of work for starters. You're put in positions where you're face to face with a man that you're looking to take out. It's easy to look and judge from the outside, but it's weird when you're in there. But I enjoyed it. I got to see the world. I had fun. I got in my opponent's face. We had a little bit of fun. It was all good. But sorry, what was the question again?
Just how you kind of got back to reality
after it, you know, I knew his body was tired. I knew his mind was drained. I knew he's on his way out of the game. All you got to do is look. He's looking for his exit. Even his coach is on his way out. I read an article today that Pederneiras is looking to retire now. You know, so they are done with the game. I am only on my way in, so I knew his mind was beat. Throughout that World Tour, I knew he would have flown straight back to Brazil, went heavy at it, heavy rounds, heavy training, having the whole of Brazil on his back, pressuring them to beat this loudmouth Irish kid, heavy rounds. The body breaks. That was about 15, 16 weeks out from the fight. The body breaks. I went to the beach, I done yoga, I done gymnastics, I worked balance stuff, I flew out specific individuals just to train, just to keep the body fresh. Now I'm out here, I'm working, so the true greats don't just change. The true greats change it all. Change the approach to the business side, change the shots that are thrown inside the octagon, and change their approach to training, and that's what I feel I am doing.
Is there a specific moment that you think that you got into his mind?
Say that one more time?
Is there a specific moment during the tour that you think, like when you saw the bell?
All of it. I mean, they knew I was coming. You've got it. They knew I was coming. Fight after fight, I burst onto the scene, called everyone out, knocked everyone out, and then they're like, he's not for real. He hasn't fought stiffer competition. Then as each individual continuously gets knocked out, then you've got to say, holy shit, now he's creeping up on me. You can still try and lie to yourself and tell yourself that this is a joke, this is not going to happen. And then guess what? Then the Boston fight happened where I knocked my opponent down, bounced over the cage and went straight for him. Now there's no running. Now it's before you. So then the World Tour was just a combination of me looking them dead in the eye and telling him what was going to happen to him. And I knew he does not speak English, so I spoke in his native tongue in Rio de Janeiro. I told him he will die. And then that was it. Now that's it.
Conor, you sent out a tweet the other day. The big equality vote is coming up in Ireland tomorrow. Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about that, and also, you know, taking a political stance? I know some fighters or some athletes don't like to do that. Just a little bit.
It's weird to me. My coach is like really big into like protesting for it. Like, and he was explaining it to me, and I mean, we all deserve equal rights. You know what I mean? We are all human here at the end of the day. How, regardless of colour, whatever, gender, sexuality, any of that, it's all meaningless. We are all human. We all deserve the same rights. So it just feels right to me. There's a big vote coming up. I can put something out and it can reach a lot of people. So I decided that it was the right thing to do that, and my whole team done it with me. So we are proud to support that.
How big is that day for Ireland tomorrow? That it looks like it is going to pass.
It's a huge day. We hope so. But we will see. You know, I just hope people will get up. If I was there, I would go and vote, but I am not in Dublin at the moment. So I mean, I hope it does. I mean, the support for the yes vote has been phenomenal. So we will see. It's Stone Age shit. I mean, it's a new age. You know what I mean? It's time to get with it.
What about taking Aldo's belt in Dublin?
Yeah, I was taking what was rightfully mine. I set him up, I put my feet up, he tried to mimic me, I jumped in, grabbed the belt and raised it high before my people. Same way in the fight, I'll go in, I'll set him up, he'll react to what I'm doing, I'll put him down, raise the belt, and boom, I just was mimicking what will happen July 11th in Las Vegas.
Are you afraid with Aldo?
What?
Are you afraid with Aldo?
Afraid with Aldo? I fear no man. I've said this before, if you breathe oxygen, it's fair game, I will come and take you out, I don't fear nothing.
Conor, when you talk about studying the game and studying fighters, and you're watching Aldo, when I was listening to you in there, it seems like you're still finding things that you're going to use. Yeah. How much have you been studying Aldo and seeing these different things?
It's similar to what every other athlete throws. They throw the same shots, they train the same way, they approach the game the same way. So I'm just reacting to everybody, what shots I will encounter off of anybody. They all move the same, so it's just working shots and angles around that. But I'm always looking to learn.
Conor, you have never been afraid to make a prediction. Are you ready to predict a finish?
I already said it will be done within 4 minutes of the first round. it will be a formality after that. It's up to how long he wants to stay in there. Like I said, he's on his way out. His body has taken a lot of damage. His brain has been rattled many times. His face has been disfigured many times. Now his coach is looking to bounce from the game as well. The game is designed to break you. It's inevitable. It will happen. This is his time to be broken. So 4 minutes it will be wrapped up. How long he lasts after that will be a formality.
Coach told me Frankie Edgar's fight, and the potential matchup you could have if you become the champion. It might have a rematch with Jose, or you might have Frankie.
Yeah, we'll see. That wrestler question is definitely a question I want to answer. It's a question that the fans want answered. It's a question that the media want answered. How will he react? And a guy asked me the other day, is it personal? Do you really want to get in and show everyone what you can do and you can take these people out? It's never personal, it's business, and business is business. They want to see me tested against a wrestler. They believe that is a question that is yet to be answered. So if it's good business, I'm in it, because I'm in good business.
Who will win the next fight for you? Vitor Belfort or Chris Weidman? The Brazilian guy or the American guy? You prefer the Brazilian, right?
It's again, nationality, gender, colour, any of that shit. I don't care about any of that. It's two men coming in to fight with a lot to prove. I feel Vitor is an animal. He's been around the game since day one. He has knocked out countless people in the middleweight division, the light heavyweight division. He's an absolute animal, but he still has a lot to prove to himself and to his fans that he can still mix it up there. And then on the other side, you've got Chris Weidman, a phenomenal champion with phenomenal skills. He's dominated one of the greatest, Anderson Silva. He dominated Lyoto Machida, but still doesn't get the respect they deserve. So you've got two men with a point to prove coming in head to head. It's going to be a phenomenal contest, and thankfully I will be ringside to enjoy it. I don't give a prediction. I don't care about nationality. I don't care about any of that. It's going to be a good fight. Both men with a lot to prove.
Conor, do you have a prediction on your pay-per-view buys for your fight with Aldo? I know there's a lot of questions. It's going to be huge. How big do you think it's going to be?
It's going to be a record breaker. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to break records. I mean, all you got to... He's a nut job, that guy. All you got to do is... Look, I'm 26 years of age. I'm 26 years of age with every single record in the game. We've got the highest gate, the highest figures. July 11th, I will have the highest pay-per-view. I'm 26 and I own my game, but I feel the pay-per-views will be a record breaker.
Conor, injuries have been a big thing in the UFC. Obviously, this is the biggest fight of the year. Are you doing anything special to prevent and make sure that you're able to fight on July 11th?
I'm not diving into sessions. I'm playing. It's about keeping your body supple. It's not about killing yourself and taking trauma all the time. You need your body to be sharp. You need your brain to be sharp, your mind to be sharp. So that is what we're doing. We're just training intelligently and going by the feel. That's why I have everyone that I've come up with from day one in a house, all under one roof, all with one focus. It's world champion preparation. It's the preparation. That's what I said. The true greats, they don't just change shots in the octagon. They change everything. They change the business side of it, and they change the training preparation. That's what I'm in the process of doing.
How do you stay on course? How do you stay on course with all the success that you've had, and you're living well now, and you've got to keep that hunger. You don't want to get complacent at all.
Yeah, for me, I can't stay. For me, there's energy and motion. As long as I continue moving, I am free. When I stay still, that's when I don't enjoy staying still. So it's not hard for me to stay motivated. I'm self-motivated. I'm motivated by movement and money. And that's it.
Sorry, you talk about your business. You're a businessman. Obviously, the bigger the business, the more money gets involved. How much have you had to learn about the business side of it that maybe you didn't already know?
I learn as I go, and I've learned a lot. I have a phenomenal team with me. My management company, Paradigm, are phenomenal. They've taught me a lot. We've came up together, and I've learned a lot about the business. And then I've spent a lot of time with Lorenzo, with Dana. Billionaire businessmen, entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? And I've learned a lot from them as well. So you must become a master at every facet of the game, and business is no different. So I have learned from everybody that is around me.
You're pushing the sport. What about the Irish fighters?
Yeah,
they're growing a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Every Irish fighter now has a platform. The invasion has happened, and a lot of people have had success from my success, and it's a brilliant thing. The gyms back home are booming. Everything is good. It's good to be involved in the fight game back home. So I am proud of that.
About how you're gonna beat Aldo, but I never heard you say about the other side. What's Aldo's best qualities? Do you think he have any good quality?
I mean, he's been champion for a long time. He can take a shot. He can fight through it. But again, he's fought bantamweights. He's fought small 5'5" bantamweights. That's you're going against a guy with 5'9", 74-inch reach. The range is too much, and then the power is another animal altogether. So I respect him for battling through his rounds and sticking it out. But this is it for him now.
Conor, what's your opinion on, going back just real briefly to Mayweather-Pacquiao? You mentioned that Pacquiao had a busted up shoulder, and there's actually a lawsuit with people saying, well, that fight should have never happened now because we paid for something. If you knew you were going into a fight and you required surgery like immediately after, you're still fighting, you're still going in there, and you think fans should take that,
That's up to the fighter. He didn't. Did he get stopped? Did he get hurt? He landed the more powerful shots. He might have came out with a sore shoulder, but Floyd came out with I guarantee more shots to the head. So, man, he showed up and he fought. So I have respect for that. If you can show up and fight and do your job. As far as that lawsuit, that's ridiculous to me. You got what you paid for. You've got to fight. The two of them came in and throw shots. Everyone is going to complain. There's always something.
2 years ago, I just had a nice conversation with your friend Tom Egan over there. He says he's known you since you're about 15 years old. Has your circle of friends gotten smaller, though? Have you had to let some people go since your success?
No, just not really. Just the right. It's not about letting people go. It's just the right people form. They just form naturally into where I'm at now. I believe I have a phenomenal team, a phenomenal circle of people. I give out good, positive vibes, and I show loyalty, so it attracts good people.
2 years ago, we stood in Louis Copeland's trying to unbow ties. You said this was going to happen. You said this is where you would be. So where are you 2 years from now? What's the next 2 years?
I will continue to be at the top, that's for sure. I'll be 28 years old with a game wrapped up in a little bow tie.
Conor, when people talk about you, they talk about how well you promote, how well you talk. Does it bother you? Would you wish that they would talk about your technique, your fighting ability?
They've got to tell themselves something. He's got this because he can do this. It's not because of what he can do better than me. Again, human nature. People will put it somewhere so that it's not eclipsing them. But it's the whole package here. I don't just talk the talk. I walk the walk, and that is it. You could bring any of the champions back, any of the people who ran the game before, back in my time, and I would still run the game.
What do you think it is that makes you special?
I haven't a clue. I'm just being who I am. I don't really think about it.
Conor, going back to the wrestling question you just said, who do you think you have a most exciting fight against, Frank Edgar or Chad Mendes?
I put them in the same bracket. I think Frankie's got a bit better boxing than him. He puts his shots a little bit better than Chad. I think Chad is more just a wrestler with an overhand right. He swings his overhand, looks at the floor, closes his eyes, and hopes for it to land. To me, that's novice. That's day one beginner stuff where I come from. Frankie's a former champion. But they are both in the same bracket. It makes no difference. As long as I'm on the card, as long as it's me fighting, it's a big fight.
Are you flying to Mexico to support Cahill?
I am not going to Mexico to support Cahill, but he's out there doing his thing, chasing down his dream, and I'm nothing but respect for Cahill. He's out there setting up his team as well out there. He's coming after the fight. He's going to come out here and continue to have me prepared. And my coach John is going to head out for maybe 2 weeks before the fight. So I will be certainly glued to the telly rooting for my countryman. Cahill's been a long-term training partner of mine. I've no doubt he's going to go in and dominate in his opponent's hometown.
Conor, you're confident you're beating Aldo. Do you also think the Irish fans taking over the MGM Grand Arena?
100%. It's going to be, I'm going to say 90% green, white and orange in there. That's what I think. What was it? I think it was like 25% came from Ireland. Then you've got all the Irish that are actually living in America, and then you've got all the Irish Americans. You're going to have maybe 8% Brazilians and 2% random, but I think it's going to be a green, white and orange event. I hope that they open the whole MGM Grand for the weigh-ins. This is one of those times where it's time to open up the whole MGM. Don't just half the arena for the weigh-ins, open up the whole thing. Let people who are showing up just for the festivities, who are not lucky enough to get a ticket, let them show up at the weigh-ins. Let's blow the roof off the place. Let's show them this is the big game now. This is the big time now. So I hope that's what will happen. We'll see.
You're in a good situation with Reebok. Some people aren't as fortunate. Is there anything that you would say to the other fighters who aren't happy with the deal?
I mean, it is what it is. You can either sit and you can moan and complain and become bitter about it, and let the energy take over you, and then more bitterness will come, more negativity will come, and it will grow and grow and grow. Or you can sit back and say, It's time now to put in the work. To get them Reebok sponsorships, to get them big sponsorships, you need to put in the work, you need to show up, you need to say what you're going to do, and then you need to go out and do it. You don't need to be fake, you don't need to do anything. Be yourself, say what you're going to do, show up and do your job. Be positive, and good things will come. You know, this is the game we are in. You cannot expect to be debut 2-3 fights in and wins and losses and middle of the road and not generating anything and expect to be given everything. You've got to go and you've got to take it. So I am blessed that I see things that way, and everyone else should see things that way.
Conor, are you tired of talking about Jose Aldo? You've talked about him so much in so many interviews.
I haven't really talked about him. It's just I'm talking about them all. You ask me a question, it seems to be rinse and repeat with a lot of them. Just talk. This is the business we are in, and I love this business.
Conor, don't you think that look like you already the champion for the UFC? You are here living in Vegas, you using the UFC facility. It's a good for the UFC be you with as the champion.
Nothing was given to me. All you got to do is look at the numbers I generate. In fact, they own me. They own me for what I've brought in. So this, if you look at this fight, 7 million gay. Let's say she clears a million pay-per-view buys. You're talking like crazy. Think how much money that is, $60 a pop, 1 million pay-per-view buys. Don't think I won't count every single number that is being generated from this whole card and putting it before Lorenzo and putting it before Dana and letting them know that this is my work. So if anything, they own me.
You talk about destiny and this being, and your visions of this being something that you envision happening. Do you take any time yet to still just sort of appreciate that the process has gone through and that you've been able to make it happen?
Every day I wake up and I'm grateful. I pinch myself every day. I walk down, my whole team is around me. We eat good, we live good, we train smart. The sun is shining. Life is good.
What's it mean for you to be able to have all of these guys here that are training behind us that wouldn't get this opportunity otherwise?
That's what I'm saying. It's a perfect combination. We've got a great team going. I've got the people who have been with me from day one. My sparring partners, my pad man, my coaches, John, my main coach, I've got my wrestling coach. I've got everything here. Then we've got the youngsters that came up from like 10, 11, 12 years of age who are now hitting that 18, 19 age. You know, that we built up and given them this whole experience of a lifetime. It's all just forming into something spectacular. So it's perfect, and there's no egos. Everyone knows each other from years on the mat together. So it's the correct way to train in this game.
Having you camp here in Vegas for so long, do you actually venture out into the city, or do you prefer to sort of keep camp closed?
As in Vegas City?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I love that. Sometimes I head down to the Strip. The Caesar Forum shops is pretty cool. I mean, some really nice shops down there. But I go shopping sometimes. Bring my girlfriend only got in from Dublin the other day, so I said I'm going to go shopping tonight with her. The shops in the Cosmopolitan and what's that called? Crystal shops. Yeah. Really nice shopping mall there. So I go down to the Strip and I shop, but for the most part we are, because with the weight cut and stuff like that, we are eating at home and relaxing at home.
Is there anything you could worry at some point could become a distraction, even for your partners or your team?
Yeah, there is distractions everywhere. You know, when we first came over, we were here for 2 weeks, grinding, and I could feel temptation building in everybody. The bright lights of Vegas, people want to go out, and I think it was 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, or I was like, all right, we'll go out, we'll go to a club, we'll chill. We can blow off a little bit of steam, get rid of that temptation. And we went and we done that. We had a good night. We came home. Now it's done. So now that temptation is killed, nice and early. So if you let it build and build and build, and then people start getting agitated and wanting to go out and do other stuff, and then it leads into something bad. So we killed it, and now we are focused again. So we have it to perfection.
How would you describe the feeling of being in the octagon?
A lovely feeling, because they only put that canvas down today, and I'm going to try and get them, or yesterday I think, but I'm going to try and get them to leave it, because it's such an unusual canvas, like the feel on it and the grip. I'm big into the ground and mats and stuff like that, because I think that they all play a specific part, you know. If I was to be training on this kind of canvas here, like this concrete and skipping, and like you'll see, and then you jump into the cage, it almost all of a sudden feels like quicksand, or if that mat is completely different to that mat. So it's always a benefit to be able to train on the actual mat you'll be fighting in. So But for me, I love that in there. I love that canvas. I watch back any of my fights, I rub my feet off it, and I just feel that feeling, and then the crowd is going. It's what I live to do.
Jose said that he has an announcement to make after the fights. What do you think it is?
I don't know. All I know is maybe it's announced that he's gone as well, because his coach is gone. How's his coach going to say he's going to retire when his fighter has the biggest fight of his life coming up? Come on, what's that? They're doing it with the game, and I respect that the game. It's a long game. Like I said, it's designed to break it. But maybe he ditched his coach. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't seem to be training with Andre too much. Maybe Andre can come over here and can chill out with me and hold pads for me, and we can do a little bit together. Maybe that's no problem. If he wants a job, he can have a job here. But who knows? Maybe I don't know what his announcement is. It does not make a difference what his announcement is, because I will have the belt.
Do you like all parts of this game? I mean, being here, all these events, all these interviews.
You don't get to this level otherwise. You don't get to this level unless it's 24/7. So I love every facet of the game.
The story behind the tiger tattoo?
I don't know. I just was floating through Venice and I said, fuck it, I'm gonna get a tiger. The tiger has been jumping out at me sometimes. I feel like animals mean something or something else. So I think the tiger is a courageous animal. So I like the tiger, and I decided to go and get it. For me, I like ink. I like the feeling of it. I like getting the work done, and I like the way it looks.
It's a tender spot though down there, isn't it?
It's actually, to be honest, compared to the chest, that right there was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. So when he was down the stomach, it was actually kind of nice. Maybe it's some sort of therapeutic thing. I don't know what it is, but I like getting them done, and I will get more of them done. I know Dana doesn't like them. Lorenzo doesn't mind them, but Dana doesn't want me to get them. But
how many do you have?
I think there's about 5 altogether on this. I don't know about.
And what is written in this one?
This was when I was drunk. That was my
that one
first.
time.
Yeah, that one time. That was that one time.
But do you know what is written?
It
can be
it
anything.
could mean anything. It was Arabic writing was a thing for a while. It was the cool thing to do, but I was following the trend back then. So maybe one day I'll get that covered up. I don't know, but.
Do you know where you did it?
I got it in Ayanapa. It was like a party kind of. I was young and on holiday. It cost me €20.
You obviously had a lot of success, and I know, like all fighters, like all people, you like to go out and enjoy yourself. But we heard Dana the other day, so there's 2 ways you can go with that. You can become Ronda Rousey, very successful and stay centered, or unfortunately you can go like John Jones, where he's had a lot of problems. How do you stay centered and not, have fun and enjoy life, but not get into those kind of situations?
Keep your team around you. I mean, I've met John many times, and John, I love John. He's a great man. He's a great fighter. But his decisions and his choices, I don't understand how. You've got millions in the bank. How can you be in a little desert town in Albuquerque in a little rental Buick and now driving? It doesn't seem like the life of it. I cannot put myself in that. So I keep my people who are with me around and that have been around from day one. So I don't know. I wish John well. But I cannot put myself in that shoes, and I don't know what the difference is, or I don't know. I can't put into words that.
Couple more minutes, guys.
Do you think his team failed him then? Did you think his team should have been there a little more for him?
I cannot speak on that because I don't know. I just tried to put myself. I tried to understand the situation. How I can't understand it. Like get a driver. Get driven. If I go out now, I'm driven in a fucking limo. You know what I mean? You've got money, I don't know, it's just a weird situation, but I wish him well, and I wish I hope he gets his head together and comes back, because he's a great man, he's a great champion, and I wish him well.
Do you think the new rules the MAC has instituted are good?
Do you think it's good?
Do you think it would have helped John if maybe they would have had these rules in place before this time?
How would it have helped? I
because they expanded the out of competition drugs that they were going to regulate.
Yeah, I don't know how to compare it to John's situation, but it's great that they are cleaning up the sport. I have not been tested yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm out here in Vegas. Let's. The fight is what 7.5, 8 weeks out. We should be tested right now. I want to be tested right now, and I want him tested over there as well. I want the sport clean. Make no mistake about that. So. It's good that they are upping the ante and testing more regularly, and the bans are more lengthy. It's the right way it should go. There might be a period where a lot of people are getting caught or whatever, but throughout the time the cream will rise to the top, and that's what will happen. So it's a good thing for the sport.
Conor, do you think some guys just aren't built for the limelight, that they just can't handle the stardom? Like somebody like Jon Jones or maybe other people, they just...
Yeah, there's people who are world champions in the gym, but when the lights shine, their light goes out. So I don't like. Yeah, there are people like that. I don't know why, but for me, when the light goes on, my light goes on too.
Do you still feeling the same thing when you win the first time and I don't know winning the belt?
Of course. It's better than any feeling you can ever imagine. It's the most addictive feeling on earth. That feeling of victory, that feeling of hard work, preparation. It's a beautiful feeling. All right, boom. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I really appreciate every single one of you here.